Okay, I'm going to start the video now for the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute educational facility.
Where does humanity go from here? What have we tried to do? What if there is more, much more? The Keshe Foundation is proud to announce a new way to bring humanity forward through technology that brings humanity in line with the natural operation of the planet and universe itself. The new science and technology discovered and developed by the nuclear engineer Moran Keshe centers upon the use and control of magnetical gravitational fields. This new body of knowledge opens the road to hundreds of potential applications, which offer solutions to most of the fundamental problems of the world, such as water, food, environmental contamination, and shortages of energy. The Keshe Foundation is proud to unveil the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Nestled amidst the beautiful shores of Bari, Italy, the Institute is poised to become a central hub in the spreading of plasma technology and knowledge. With its state-of-the-art 21st century facilities, the Institute will be able to provide students and staff an immersive way to learn the plasma technology, to be the leaders of the new generation of scientists and plasma engineers. The Keshe Foundation has opened the door to the world for peaceful usage of technology that is independent of the limited resources that are available on Earth. This is an understanding of how everything works together in harmony in our universe, and it applies to everything from the smallest to the biggest, from atoms to galaxies. We all are able to collectively work together in pursuit of knowledge, innovation, and solutions for our society. This learning environment is new to the world, where there will be no test to confirm your understanding. The knowledge of everyone will be respected and allowed to flourish in a nurturing environment. Hands-on testing and experimenting will be widely used in conjunction with roundtable discussions to bring all opinions and knowledge forward. Students will be introduced to a change in the ethos of working in collaboration. Students will experience firsthand how we share knowledge in a free and open manner. Graduating students are expected to share the knowledge they gain from the university within their respective communities and nations. All formal teachings, lectures, and presentations will be in the English language, with technology available for immediate translation. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will be offering 3-year executive master programs for undergraduate degree students and 1-year executive master programs for graduate degree students in the following fields: space transportation, new plasma technology, health, agriculture, materials, energy. The health section is designed to make students able to live in space without the need to return to Earth. To this end, the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute has found processes for many diseases including ALS, cancer, coma, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will offer online teaching courses which will enable anyone, anywhere around the world to enroll and increase their knowledge and understanding. Students will have the opportunity to direct their work towards commercial spin-offs and seek funding through the help of the Keshe Foundation. The access to the new science and new technologies is openly available for peaceful use to the benefit of mankind to make a better world today. Now you can be part of the changing world and the new knowledge. All commercial spin-offs are intended to be open source and patent-free. This is part of the core ethos of the Keshe Foundation and the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will have its official inauguration on April 21st, 2015, with courses commencing soon after, on May 4th, 2015. The students of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will be the leaders of the future, who will make changes in all areas of space technology, science, medicine, agriculture, and energy. Anyone is able to apply, but acceptance is through invitation only. No prerequisites are required. We will be accepting approximately 250 students for the 3-year Executive Master's Program and 120 students for the 1-year Executive Master's Program. We welcome humanity's participation in the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Where does humanity go from here? That is up to you. Apply today.
Okay, that's our opening movie for the Spaceship Institute in close to Bari, Italy. And it's the new Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute is what it's called. And some of us are looking forward to visiting there in April at the opening. April 23rd is the official opening. Okay, welcome everybody to the 55th Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation and Spaceship Institute. And today we have a number of topics of interest. We'll have Ralph hopes to present his new musical instrument that he's developing. And he wants to get some feedback on the use of nanotechnology in the development of his instrument. And we have a couple of videos from Ivan, who's got something to say about nanomaterials and magnetics and so on. And we hope to hear more about the university and the structure of education in the new Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute educational facility, and how that works online and with the folks who are participating as teachers and students. So let's go into the workshop and see if we can connect with Mr. Keshe. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you available there?
Yes. Good morning, good evening, good day. And this week we have a special Happy New Year to the Iranian community, which celebrates the New Year. And at the same time, we wish you all a wonderful time wherever you listen or what time you listen to these recordings. There are a couple of points which we have to address, and we allow the people in the foundation to announce these changes or what is about to happen or what we are looking for. And we go, I think, to Winston Rick to make the announcement regarding the teachings. To start with, would you like to take over?
Yes, Vince, are you there? Would you like to discuss a bit about that? Not hearing you, Vince, unless you're... oh, he's got a sound issue. I'm not sure if I can relate properly what your intent is there.
Would you like to go back to Lisa to make the other part of the announcements from her point, and then
Sure,
we go back to Vince when he gets his voice back?
Okay, we could start with that. Is Lisa, are you on the call there? Can you explain a bit what is your perspective on this situation? Hello, Lisa, are you there? Okay, let me see here.
It seems that when it comes to announcements, they lose their voice.
I have to bring her in, I think, perhaps on the other way. Let's see if this works. As Vince seems to be
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now, Vince.
On Skype?
Yeah, can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, Lisa's on GoToMeeting as well, but
you're having trouble with the GoToMeeting.
Can't unmute. Yeah, I'm having trouble. New version. Okay.
Yes.
Let me try unmuting and see if she can talk. Lisa, can you talk now?
Yes, I can talk now.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay. Otherwise, I invited her to the Skype call, so I guess she doesn't need to be there now. Okay.
After the SSI opening in April and started in May, we will have classes offer online, and we will give the packaging about how many hours and how much time you will attend the courses, and probably we will give as a credit of course towards to master degree, and on the regular Tuesdays, those workshops still open to the whole worldwide. So we have additional lecturing courses, and we need to towards to master's degree or other programs. Is that am I seeing clear enough?
Yeah, I can add to that as well later on, or right now, I guess. So we're planning on opening the educational side for online teachings at the same time as we are planning to have the regular teaching start. So on May 4th, as we just seen in the video, the online teaching should also become active. If the accounts are able to be set up beforehand, I will post on the forums. Other than that, the activation for the registration should become active on May 4th. So we will at least have one course to offer on May 4th. If not, we will try to offer the full teaching programs through a live program. Now, we haven't discussed too much on the fees yet, but we do plan on having the courses for free at some point in the future. So these will all be recorded and be able to be listened to after the fact. But you'll also be able to work them live, as we're doing now with the workshops. So that was it with the education. Also, I do believe we had the discussion on the diplomats being invited to the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute opening. Excuse me. And we have decided that we are going to invite their souls to be able to bring this to humanity in an open and for humanity. We decided that the diplomatic end of things, they can be there in spirit and soul, and they don't have to be there in person. So we will be inviting through our souls the people that the core team has, let's say, taken administration over on their side for the presidents or leaders of the country, and then we will be leaving those seats for their souls. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that, Vince. Maybe we should speak a little bit more about the rate structure, or do we know exactly more details about the rate structure? I know that it's been a recent decision to have a lower
just a recent
scale. So there should be a
there will be a list. We will go through it more thoroughly and provide the information on the forums when it becomes available, or we will provide it through the regular advertisement means. So once we come to a hard and fast schedule to do with the pricing, then we'll let everybody know. But just to know that I don't see this as an expensive option to be able to be a live participant in the teaching courses. We're not looking to have it as a one-time $6,000 fee, as in you would be when you were there, but it will be a fee for live teaching.
Right. So it should be within reach of most people in the world who want to attend the online teaching, basically.
That's right.
Okay, so that's interesting. What else do we have to offer regarding the university, or well, not, we should call it the we don't call it really a university, it's more of we call it the KFSSI.
The Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute.
Right.
The KFSSI.
Yes.
There was one thing, sorry, just it went off of my mind. It'll come to me in the future.
Okay, we'll have a
Yes,
musical interlude while it all comes back to Vince here. Well, we've got several topics in that regard. Yeah, maybe you can fill us in on that, Mr. Keshe.
The process which is considered or is under consideration is that you can apply for master degrees online, and in spite the other process of teaching, you can live attend each lecture, which goes on every morning between 10 and 1 o'clock Central European Time, Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Fridays. And then on Thursdays we have, like now, open discussion tutorial for anything new or anything which is discussed in the lectures. It is a master degree evaluation, which is to give you executive master degree. We are looking at the moment at packages of like €30 for 30 hours of lectures, which means every 2 weeks you donate to the foundation minimum of €30. You can extend it if you like, or you can keep it the same. And when you reach certain number of hours of lectures and you can fulfill the whole session in your time, then as a master degree you submit your thesis in the way you learn what you learn, and then you gain your master degree. You can be a housewife, you can working night shift, day shift, you could be different part of the world. You become a space scientist, in a way of a spaceship scientist. We teach exactly the same way. You can attend the workshops in the afternoons on the same process, which in fact in the coming time we will plan to allow the teachings to be free, but you can still join the process to attain a master degree. As there are no background to this science, nobody can evaluate how much and who has learned what. What you contribute into society by what you learn counts in next year, next 10 years, or even through your grandchildren, what you taught them from what you learned at the institute. The process is extremely made easy that every person can tune in and learn. We do not expect any difficulties in the level that we can broadcast as live in maybe different Keshe Foundations around the world can translate with a few minutes delay every teaching. It will be kept on a secure basis as Vince will set up the process for it. This way, even when you become a student online, part of the agreement you make with us is the same. You have to sign a World Peace Treaty. And secondly, you have to accept the same terms as the knowledge seekers who are in the institute, that you spend certain hours a week to teach to your community or online to the others. So the commitment does not change. We expect to, or you can send your applications even now, but you have to put online teaching, and how we process it, we have to find a way to do it. A line will be put on, most probably a link for online teaching, because with online teaching we don't need to vet. You come in and you accept it, you give them access, most probably a passcode, that you can get in and listen and do it. So it's much easier. It's just that we provide the links to you with your whatever system is put on by the secure system with means that cannot be what do you call it, misused. There is a point which I was discussing with people in the university media section that are responsible for these things, is that we have received a number of application forms from people who would like to be in the master or what do you call executive master 1 year in MA and executive master in October. These people have the science and capability and they qualify, but they need financial support and a sponsorship. At the moment in the May session we have 12 people apparently, as far as we can say. The vetting has been done or is getting done, and if you want you can sponsor a scientist or a Spaceship Institute knowledge seeker. It's literally adopted scientists which we had before, but now they come physically here and you can ask them to teach you, or you can allow them to teach in different ways to your communities the way you plan it. We have received a number of requests from professors and lecturers around the world that they want to bring the technology as part of the teaching live into their universities. We invite you and we accept you. We are trying to set a process up how we can do it. How it can be done, that all the lectures in universities are downloadable live, that it can be used as a lecture time if they want to. We will respond to this within the next few days once we see how the apparatus of the teaching online will go. Facilities will be made for universities to be able to pass the information and the technology and knowledge directly. But this does not mean that we do not need the students to be knowledge seekers in the institute, that the first time they become the teachers in their own universities, in their own country. We need at least 10 to 15,000 knowledge seekers on a full-time basis to be able to teach 7 billion. In a process which we have started, that they can translate the technology. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute stays as part of the Keshe Foundation's total umbrella, which means whatever is learned in the Keshe Foundation as totality and commercialized or to be developed will be brought on the umbrella of the Institute directly, and already the first 2 spin-offs are on set to go in the next couple of weeks, which means we will start our spin-off immediately, even before we start the Institute. We are waiting for a kind of even negative response from the Japanese government within next 7 days in respect to the test is done. As I gave an interview to Kerry Cassidy last night in the Camelot channel, is that we cannot accept silence, or we do not accept negativity that it does not work, or whatever it is, to do a cover-up or trying to avoid to respond to how the technology is developed. The reason being is that 4 different tests in different times has been done by Japanese authorities in the plant and on the materials which were shipped to us. The results were there that it justified further tests. So there are positive evaluations. We have to wait for the Office of the Prime Minister of Japan, or TEPCO, or Ministry of Finance of Japan, or authorities within Fukushima to respond in respect to the tests. We know there is the results, and you do not spend several times, tens of millions in testing when the first result was not correct. So we know the results will be positive in some levels, and it needs more development in conjunction with our friends and colleagues in Fukushima. If this report is released, we do expect immediate transfer of knowledge worldwide to all the nuclear industries. And if it's not released, we release other parallel reports. It has been raised in past 24 hours a question in respect to the position of American Navy in British Isles. The Foundation stays quiet and respectful in respect to this position. There are people who are trying to make a case out of a large battleship which is taken into the rivers of the British Isles, and now they said it's a 5-day visit. But if it's an organized 5-day visit, such a huge aircraft carrier does not stick in the middle of the river. When you organize such a huge program for such a huge ship, you always organize its anchors, and where it's going to stay, not in the middle of the river. Being on understanding that we warned the American governments and European governments of such a move by the Russians in February, March of this year, and we are dead on target. We informed the Americans on January and February of last year, November and December of last year, of such a possibility of the blocking of movement using the technology. And now we have seen it, one of the biggest aircraft carriers is in the middle of a river in British Isles where submarines cannot reach it. The process is very much complete. Let me explain to you how it works. You place a submarine in deep sea and you fly aircraft at the top. And the craft on the water becomes part of the plasma within the structure of the 3 reactors, and consequently the total communication jam. The technology is fully developed as far as we can see by the Russians, and is applicable in enforcing peace their way. We welcome any what I call a peace movement by any of the governments, and at the same time we provide more knowledge in the background to all the governments to be able to be equal. In due course we will make announcement in this respect, if and how and when, but as I said before, we inform the American authorities and government of such a move by the Russians and possibly other nations to enforce peace through disarmament of the most advanced technologies. So we have started seeing the dividend, peace dividend, through the development of the new technology. We have been approached and we are negotiating on a direct operation, possibly we announce in the coming weeks, of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute with a direct space organization, one of the leading space organizations in the world. A direct partnership collaboration. We will announce this in due course, which means we will have access, or they will have access to all our knowledge in respect to space technology, a spaceship program of the Keshe Foundation. We are talking about one of the 3 top space programs in the world. The meetings are set up, and as we always play very openly, we announce it now that they don't tell us that you are negotiating with this and that. This makes the governments of the nation or the authorities been waiting for institute to be opened up, to open the channel of the communication, and literally we will have access, and they will have access to us as we have access to the launching pads in the major what do you call it, space, the 3 space technologies in the world. This brings us huge advantage if it happens, if we do not see a blockage, that we will have leading astronauts and scientists and space scientists sitting next to the knowledge seekers in the institute in Trani in Italy. We will inform when this happens, and we see a possible block to be put in for it to develop. But at this moment we have started a tentative negotiation, but this is going very rapidly within coming months, outside the parameters of the Keshe Foundation, in a secure environment that nobody can interfere with. So once we get a clearance, the announcement will be made by the national government in collaboration between the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute and one of the top 3 space scientists or scientific organizations which launches regularly into space. They have used part of the technology, they know the correctness of it, so we add to our strength in adding more to their knowledge, and they've understood that our technology will not be used for any military applications, and we've been assured that the knowledge gained through and with us and with them will be open in public information. This will put a lot of pressure on other organizations in other 3 or 4 nations which are space developers, and in a way forces them to come into some sort of a gel to see where we can go. We've been approached by the highest level people in this respect, and I have authorized a green light to go ahead to complete the negotiation. What this means, the knowledge seekers who join us, will become part of the structure of the World Space Organization, this was the original plan of the spaceship program. If you go back years ago, we made an international spaceship organization with the flags of every nation which had the capability to go into space, and the NASA flag was next to the Iranian Space Agency flags, and the NASA guys got a bit too arrogant in their position that why should the Iranian flag be next to NASA. And for that reason I received the official confirmation, can you please remove NASA's sign from the paper. So we said if we move one, we move the rest, and Dirk Lauressens and we decided to take it all off. And now we're putting it back on. And now we start with 3 nations on the flag, and we see who else will join the flag of the humanity. In a part which Vince explained about the world leaders, I have explained this to the structure which we announced on 21st of April. There is a confusion between people between 21st and 23rd. 21st, 22nd is the inauguration of the Spaceship Institute by the supporters of the Keshe Foundation worldwide. 23rd is inauguration of the Spaceship Institute in partnership with the Lund University. So that's where you see the 2 dates, 2 separate dates are stated. In the presentations and the meetings between 21st, 22nd, it is a family gathering. It is a worldwide family gathering. Nobody is higher and nobody is lower. At the same time, we see this as a point of the start of the new generation of thinking and working, where the science and application of the science leads to world peace. I have been told I have to clarify one point. Some Belgians think, and we had communication with them, they would like to attend the meetings, and we know that someone has applied to be a what you call a knowledge seeker in the institute. Please understand, we will not reject, and we will not send you a rejection letter, and will not reject you. But you will stay in the queue till the queue is cleaned up, in a way, queue up your government, not us. As you are aware, there are other processes in progress. We have just unveiled a new fraud by the Belgian government in their structure, trying to make allegations against the foundation. So we cannot allow the Belgian nationals to attend any of the meetings or teachings till this situation is sorted by the European governments. Therefore, I do apologize for being on this position, but the problem is when you poisoned us the last time, it wasn't just me and my family. Marco was poisoned too. So other knowledge seekers are in danger by you attending, all people in the government of Belgium in different shape or form trying to attend. It's not just us, it's just the totality structure of the institute. And we apply and we ask you to withdraw from attending because, as they say, refusal will be your shame, not ours. You did not have mercy on a child, a woman and a man. You even meant for the knowledge seekers, because we get touched by it all together. So please understand, do not try to test us because you will fail, not us. We protect the human race, not a failed system. As I said, one of the main things for us is at the moment how you can, if you cannot be here or you don't see yourself in a position and you've been supporting the Keshe Foundation in different ways, to support the people who can be here with the sponsorship. You don't pay the institute, you pay them directly, you sponsor them directly. We tried to do this before and it failed miserably because, as I said, you're all takers and not givers. You're prepared to come to every lesson, listen to every lecture, you download, we see a huge number of people everywhere, but when it comes to allowing it to be done by the others, you decide to do it yourself. And we've seen these people attend themselves instead of making room for the others to be there, to be able to develop the knowledge further by the ones who are more capable, out of whatever we don't understand. But the foundation is going in a direction that selfishness has to be put aside. Totality counts. Totality counts for world peace. Totality counts for being able to teach and to develop technologies which can help us. I think I have made myself very clear in these points. There is a position which I was asked to clarify about the teachings we are doing. Please understand, just because we started these Thursday teachings does not mean we only teach on Thursdays. A lot of in-depth teaching has been going and goes on in the Chinese session, in the health section, in the Spanish section, and with the children section. We do not bring all the teaching to one, and then if the piece of information is missing, is taught in other sessions. So as we do teach everything here in the Institute as a package that you can see relationship between each other, we have brought this to the ethos of the Keshe Foundation, that we are all equal. So I started teaching more and more in depth in the Chinese session, in depth more in the health section, and more in depth in the Spanish session. I've seen emails from scientists and other organizations around the world that can we have like our own, like the Chinese or the Spanish session. I'm a man with 24 hours and I spend a few hours in blessing the physicality. And at the same time we have to teach, and I have to keep the whole thing with the organization of the Keshe Foundation worldwide and all the other things which goes with it. Do not rely on me to be there to always to be part of the teaching. In a coming time, the teachings will be done by people like Marco, Armin, Vince, and the others who can translate their level of understanding into the addition of the science. I have a physical limited time, and that physicality has a clock which clicks. So you have to start being prepared to do the teaching yourselves, among yourselves, through the Institute or outside the Institute. We have a huge misunderstanding, and that is the technology belongs to the humanity. and not to a few groups or few people. It's you who fail yourselves, not us. We do our best to teach, and the people spend their time and every effort to be able to develop and expand the knowledge. One of my biggest sorrows is that how physical the whole thing has become. And on the other hand, it's good to see the weakness of the man. We will show things and systems in coming time and days as the knowledge is gained by the knowledge seekers around the world. The production of energy and motion is not our primary target. The target is to bring as many people as possible, that they can develop as many different systems as possible, that in totality, with a collection of different knowledges, with different systems, the same target can be achieved. I explained my thoughts to the Russians in a very deep way, that now that they understood through the gravitational magnetic system how to develop their first flying system, because it was part of the knowledge which was missing for them, it is the right of the knowledge seekers around the world to be able to understand how they've done it, or at least they share. I can open their design and make it public, but that's not my job. It's their job, and hopefully we see collaboration with them, that they will open these things for the world scientists. I think I made myself very, very clear in this respect to our colleagues into the eastern port of what we call states of Russia. We respect them, we highly value their knowledge, but if you gain through us, share with us. Is there any question?
Mr. Keshe, there was a question in the live stream regarding Ger Peter says the Belgian government works closely in concert with other governments. Are there other nationals on the blacklist?
There is no blacklist. It's a protection list. Don't forget the ex-queen of Belgium is Italian, and another member of royal family just married to Italian. We have no problem with the Belgian nation. The problem is that, as if you listen to the broadcast with Kerry Cassidy last night, it's the people who are trying to do their way to get access to copyrights and intellectual rights, that they can rob the rest as they've done before. The problem sits with our Belgium problem, sits with one man, Hans Brackenier, who sits now in the European Space Agency. He has, because of his position and closeness with the King of Belgium, even the present King of Belgium, because we know, we can show you how close they are, they have created this false information that now the European governments have started looking at it. Interpol request by Belgian authorities has been denied in so many cases now they don't even look at, because of this seen the pattern. But the problem is now the murder of the scientists around the Europe, with that man being in that position, will start the way this. The problem is, up to now, when I was in Belgium, whatever they did with us was in Belgium. Now they have exported the terrorism, what they call scientific terrorism. You have terrorists in Middle East, you call them, they export terrorism, Islamic terrorism or other terrorism. Now Hans Brackenier has exported terrorism in throughout Europe and the world, because now he has access to the files of NASA, through European agency, and the other world. So now has become scientific terrorism through sponsored by a government, supported by a government. Up to now, we had terrorism from Middle East out in the matter of murdering people. Now we have European nations supporting a scientific murder, terrorism against scientists. And now it's been exported out of Belgium. Up to now, European government did not mind. There was whatever they did in their house, it was their own, as we call it, experiment. They could eat it. But now, by attempting to murder me and the way they did, they have exported terrorism. This is where the change is. Now he is touching every European nation. Mr. Hans Brackenier has exported scientific terrorism into Europe by sending people into the institute to kill. He is exactly like bin Laden now. His position and bin Laden is no different. This is for the European governments to recognize who he is and how they operate through the kingship of Belgium. There is no difference as of past few months that they sponsored to murder me between Hans Brackenier and bin Laden. How many other scientists they killed up to now and they disappeared? Because they got away, it was in their own country. Now they brought it outside, it's a state terrorism against scientists. As I repeat, we send application to European Court of Justice and it's sitting on the file underneath, but they're looking at everything. We are aware of the situation which is developing in Europe. We've been informed by the chief prosecutors around the world. Now, Mr. Hans Brackenier and bin Laden sit on the same chair. I wonder why the Americans are not making a move. And why the Belgian government is buying all the papers for the American government which is published for them to get finance to. Who's laundering money for state terrorism? Force against scientists. As I said, and I repeat, there is no difference between bin Laden, who exported terrorism by the name of different things, and Hans Brackenier, which is now is exporting terrorism out of Belgium, is sponsoring to kill scientists. This is where the problem sits. If Iran has been put on the state list of the terrorist organizations for whatever, now Belgium should be on the same list for scientists. This is why we protect ourselves against the position and the move by the Belgian authorities. We're going to publish the statement we've received from the people who are sending the books out. How Belgian government has been full hand in it. Delaying delivery of the books to start a case as a fraud. But they never realized that we already kept books outside to be able to support it. We could see it happening. So the whole structure has fallen apart. They are forever busy. We know there is another attempt for other bits for whatever, but sooner or later, a government in Europe, most probably Italian government or another leading government, will start issuing warrants for Mr. Hans Brackenier state terrorism. And with it will go the ex-king, the present king, Mr. Delanois, and the chief prosecutor in Kortrijk. You will see another summons will be issued very soon, and we put it again in public domain. State-sponsored murder and torture and all sorts of things of scientists. Anybody. Anyone who develops anything in nanotechnology, space technology, and advanced science in electronics, which touches IMAC, which is the Mr. Hans Brackenier sits in, will be touched. You don't give it, he will kill you. Why European Space Agency has allowed such a murderous man to be in that position doesn't mean they're all in the same game now. We are very open about it. And if they play a game, we put other space agencies on the table who will support us. Next question. Somebody has written, if you want a list of scientists they killed for the past 20 years, it is a long list.
Well, we can move on to some other topics that might be more cheerful.
No, it is cheerful, because don't forget, it's very cheerful news, because now people can stand to protect their own rights to the science they are entitled to. We are denied a lot of knowledge that it can help a lot of us.
That's
because
true.
some people will to benefit by it. At least people can see there is no negativity into it. Actually, these people are serving the humanity better because it's opening the eye of the man in how he can be benefited by sharing knowledge correctly the way we do. It has to be this way. But till you don't see darkness, you don't appreciate the beauty of the light. Example of it is what you're trying to put on now, how a nanotechnology or Gans technology can be used for music. We never thought of it to do it that way. Now people come in, they're open, they want to test. They're using it for paint, they're using it for different things. We're going to announce very interesting point in a very short time. Again, how damaging this process has been for the development, but it has helped us to develop more further information. Carry on. Let's see where we can enlighten. It's a nice musical instrument. Any other question?
Yeah, I think you've covered that that topic fairly well, Mr. Keshe. And is Ralph on the go-to meeting, Vince, or Ralph?
Yeah, I think Ralph is here. Let me just check
He
again.
mentioned he had an audio problem too, but maybe it was part of the other audio issue that happened. So
I had muted everybody during that so that there was no interruption. I also wanted to mention too. I do remember what I came up with, what I was thinking about before, is that the Spaceship Institute site, as well as the application form, is now on a secure site. So you don't have to be afraid of entering your information. It's on the secure end of the site. You should see the green padlock or the padlock in the top of the address bar now when visiting the site, especially the application form. Thank you.
Hey, Rick.
okay, thanks, Vince. Hi, Ralph. Yes.
Yes. I missed did you, I missed the introduction. Anyway,
Okay,
I
you're
don't know
on.
where to start here.
You're on live stream live. So we've I've shown Ralph. I've shown one of your pictures so far.
Hello, can I interrupt here, please?
Yes.
I think one of the things we have ignored up to now is for you people who come and show us these things, to enlighten us about your background, who you are, where you come from, and how you came to this conclusion to do this, than just coming and showing something and going. If you could enlighten us about your background, who you are and what it is, that maybe in the future we can use your knowledge and talent in another way by the foundation and other people around the world.
Okay. Probably next time I get on, I can do that and go into more detail.
Just a second. There's some typing going on in the background. There's someone's microphone open, I think, perhaps. So, okay. Who's typing now? Okay, we need to mute that. Okay, go ahead, Ralph. Sorry.
Okay. This is a bad start here today. Okay. So yes, we do, the discussion had come up in the past on the kids workshop about the need for games and so on. So I thought I would introduce this. My question is, how would is there a need or application for music in space industry?
Yes, music is a fruit of soul.
Okay, good.
Why not?
Great. So I'm not seeing anything here, so I'm just going to try to.
At first, Ralph, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came into all this and so on.
My background is I'm not specialized in anything. I moved from job to job, from career to career. I don't have any special no career in music, no career in engineering or mechanical engineering or music. But I just had this idea as a kid, and I decided to. Right now, I'm doing security work. I've worked in electronics for a brief period. I studied in that field, and I was born in St. Kitts in the island one of the British islands in the Caribbean. But I've had this intuition for some time now that there's a need for such an instrument. As I don't know if you did you read the background information that I sent you?
I didn't read that out loud here. No.
If you can, just read that briefly. And,
that may be difficult for me to reach right now. I can try that.
Okay.
I
Anyway,
have to get into my mail application.
Okay, Mr. Keshe, with most wind instruments, there's wind instruments requires different keys and or keyholes and similar facilities for creating music. And each time you change, each musical piece works in a key, a special key called signature. And every time we change this key, the fingering configuration changes, right? So I always wanted to have an instrument that can eliminate all these requirements, what I saw as a problem, complications, changing from key to key and from configuration to configuration. So with this instrument, I only have used one key.
Excuse me. Sorry. Can you just go back and start from the beginning because I'm lost? If you want me to clarify something.
Yes. All instruments, as far as I know, all musical instruments, wind instruments, or even any other instrument, requires in playing a musical piece, you work in a certain key. Let's say key of G or key of C or key of F and so on. That's a signature, and each key, when you move when you shift from one key to the other, the fingering configuration on the instrument changes, right? So I thought this was a problem, and I
understand that. And I used to play keyboard. Yeah, I understand what you're trying to explain. I used to play keyboard for nearly 10 years. So I understand. But what you're trying to explain, can you go in more detail, please?
Okay, so I wanted to have an instrument that would eliminate this requirement. Just for instance, the human voice, right? It doesn't need keyholes and keys or signatures to play music, to sing, right? So
Thank you very much. It's beautiful.
So I'm trying to implement this same structure, the human vocal apparatus, to create an instrument that would eliminate all the need for different fingering configurations on the musical instrument.
Okay, and part of that is you've created a chamber that you have a question to Mr. Keshe about the materials for it and so on.
Well, I thought I was wondering, and I should have, I apologize. I should have been at least try to do this myself and see if I can. I was concerned about the effect that nano-coding would have on as the wind passes through the instrument. How would nano-coding affect the movement of wind in the chamber of the instrument as it leaves. So that is my concern, and I thought if it did, it could enhance the musical instrument or the sound or whatever. So this is what I'm trying to do.
What have you done? Can you explain to us what you've done? Can you enlighten us?
So far, I've tried to. It's not easy. I've tried using the instrument. Would be if it was manufactured, it would be. I would visualize it would need something like the same material, plastic material that is used for building the clarinet, for instance. So I tried to use wood to build it, but it's not that easy. I prefer to have a plastic material. Anyway, it will require having something like an embouchure, where the sound is created as it leaves the mouth of the instrument. So
does it need to be a wind instrument? Does it need to be a wind instrument?
Oh, that's a good question. I've never thought of that. But yeah. So my problem is I don't have the equipment and the facility to, for instance, to build. I could have taken it to a shop and had them build the bell. I need to have a bell on the instrument to channel the sound as it leaves. And I can't build the bell on. I don't have the equipment to build the bell. So, but I think the instrument should be made out of plastic, similar to the clarinet.
I think if you know, we used to have, when we were children, we used to have, what do you call it, big pen. You remember the big company making the pens? Yeah. And we used to make holes in it and make a flute out of it.
Yeah.
So it should not be that difficult nano-coating one big pen and not nano-coating one and making the same position holes precisely the same way, and you see if you can hear a different voice, different noise. I'm sure you will. That's very much inevitable. But the other thing is, because when your body is made of nanomaterials yourselves, your skin is part of it, and the wind which you blow out is partially Gans. Would this sound the sound of your soul too? Because everything is based on what it receives. Up to now, you touch Gans with the matter. Once you nano-coat it, you blow into a plasma condition.
Yes.
So would we hear the soul of the sound of the soul, as we say? And how much of the noise will be the difference? And there are equipments which you can measure the noise level and the change in the pitch. You know, the way they tune a piano. So it should not be very difficult for you and other people around us in the foundation who can come up with an answer for you.
Yes, I think the part of the instrument that creates a sound, what other writers call the embouchure, it requires a specific angle as the air exits it. I think it's very similar to the angle that the space shuttle uses to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. There's a 40-degree angle. I'm just using an analogy, and that angle, there's very limited tolerance with that angle, 40 degrees as it enters the atmosphere, and if it's steeper, it burns up. If it's too shallow, it bounces off like a stone on water. So it has to be a specific angle, and the embouchure as when it exits the instrument, and that's already fixed. I think that is fixed, in my opinion. It's fixed. So and it's around, I think it's around 40 degrees angle.
Do we have any other musicians online who can enlighten us? Anyone who are
Well, yeah, the reason why I know it can work is because I can do it with my mouth, you know. So it's not difficult. But I never seen nobody have had any in the past come up with such an idea. So I thought, well, why not do it?
Thank you for enlightening us. It can be done, and I think you will hear different noise.
So what I have is a lever here, a lever that controls the tongue, which controls the volume in the chamber, which in turn creates the pitch as it exits the instrument. And the distance or the travel of the key or the lever is very small, and it controls all of the notes or tones on the chromatic scale, which includes all the black keys and white keys. I imagine that I can achieve about at least 2 octaves plus with this instrument, with just one movement, one small movement.
Would it be different if we tried if you use a nano-coated wires on a piano strings or on a guitar?
That's
what a concept.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of us made a lot of wires. Why don't we nano-coat these strings and listen if it makes a difference? It must do, but don't forget we don't change the weight of the matter. It's the same weight because we don't paint it on. The coating comes from the material itself.
But you vibrate the plasmatic fields at the same time, which you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, in a way, do we...
Wouldn't it be closer to music of the gods if it was nano-coated, perhaps?
I will let you know if he plays.
Maybe, Ralph, you can do a little soliloquy on your instrument and get back to us on that.
Yeah, well, what I really want to do, I think it can work, and if I would like to my object. This is one of the reasons why that I brought it on the knowledge workshop, is that I would like to use this to contribute to the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. You know,
this is my goal. Idea. It's a beautiful idea. It's a beautiful idea, but what will be interesting is because I used to play music for years. The strange thing with music is that through the vibration, it touches your emotion very deeply. You can play the same tune hundreds of times, you just play it. And once when you're emotionally in a state, that tune has totally different meaning that you played it for hundreds of times.
That's true.
It has totally different attachment, different meaning, and it's happened to all of us. Especially if you play music, because I used to make notes and trying to make not songs, but just music, because it was a pleasure to do it. I used to play, and then suddenly the tune, because you came from, let's say you walked, you were in love with something, or somebody told you the wrong thing, that moment, because of your emotional condition, the same notes had totally different emotional feeling. I wonder if you change the chords, so nano chord, let's say the guitar string or a piano, would the noise touches the emotional feeling totally different as well. If you sit and play one instrument without, and immediately play with a nano-coated, would it create a vibration which touches the emotion of the man? Would we make people more happier with the nano-coating? Because it's more in tune with their body.
That would be an interesting study.
I think we have to do.
What if you had a whole band with all the instruments were nano-coated? You know,
What about if you make a
No.
nano-coating as speakers?
Mm-hmm.
What about the moisture?
Into vibration.
Well, I did do. Go ahead, Ralph. Sorry.
What about the how the moisture always develops in instruments like these, where it is enclosed? How would it affect the nano-coated material?
What do you mean? Can you explain?
How the moisture always condenses in most instruments, wind instruments. You know, you get a condensation of water, vapor. Right? How?
I don't know. We got to ask people who are in that game. I left it about 20 years ago.
Maybe you would start creating Gans inside the instrument, because the salt from your breath, the moisture, and the nano-coated materials, it could create that environment, perhaps. What about using Gans in an instrument? Yes, hi, Emmanuel.
I've seen some research here. There's a thing called a nano piano, and
nano piano.
And there's some research involving sound absorption from nanomaterial layers. So I'm thinking that what will affect it will stabilize some of the vibrations and cause a more harmonious effect when it's heard, based on some previous observations here. So I really think it sounds like a great idea. And I think it'll actually maybe bring some more stability to the sound itself.
But you have to be on a cautious side and consider that, especially if you're using these kind of wind instruments, you do not swallow the nanomaterials. That's part of your game.
Right.
Yeah, no backdraft. What if you had more like an organ set up with pipes, copper pipes, that you have compressed air blow through or some other means to activate them? Then you could have nano-coated pipes and regular pipes and compare them quite exactly, because the exact cut length on a certain diameter pipe will give you exact frequency and so on.
The other problem is, especially like string instruments, when you play with nano-coated materials, as you touch them, you change the structure. You know, when your fingers moves up and down a guitar string, you rub a nanomaterial partially in your body, and partially you squeeze the layers together. So you already continuously changing the structure, where with a normal string you don't have that. The more you push and hammer on a string in a piano, the more tighter packs of nanomaterials you make. Would the tune be the same? And then you tune it, and then you have to retune it because it's been played and the layers have changed.
There's a whole new job category for people right there, the nano piano tuner.
Maybe actually, you may be able to accompany that with nano-coated walls that will actually give another effect as they bounce off of the walls and keep the sound in a certain area.
Like, say, inside of a guitar or inside of a piano cover.
To the outside, maybe, and even cause the echo to come back off of a nano container as well. Just things like that. Consider that.
I think something you got to consider, which we have seen, and you will come to understand very quickly with these things, is that once you use a nanomaterial, you create what you call plasmatic lensing. It has a lot of application because your nanomaterials gap is fixed and your layers are fixed. So you create a bandwidth, what you call filtering. So if you nano coat, let's say plastic, or nano coat the same plastic in different kind of caustic, you will find different noises and different conditions. This is something which you cannot ignore. You create a filtering system with the nanomaterials. In time, I teach you how to do filtering the same way in the star formation. That's how you protect yourself in the space from certain radiations. You don't want to block everything, otherwise you receive no energy to live on. Still on Earth, we allow certain energies to be filtered through that is used for us on the daily absorption for our body. That's what the environment of the atmosphere of the Earth does. So nano coating is not just what you can block or whatever. You can create filters with different nano coatings for certain bandwidths, plasmatic gravitational bandwidth. You have to consider all these things when you're making these kind of instruments.
Mm-hmm. So is this something that the Institute would be willing to or really take up?
Yeah, it's something we have to take up. Can you imagine a space without music?
Well, it's interesting that there's an article in Popular Science that just came out 2 days ago that mentions, it's in other articles too, it's that the stars might be singing. And the article tells about how stars give off an actual sound, and it's a very high frequency. It's actually around 1 trillion hertz. Why they don't call that a radio frequency instead of a sound? It's a different type of frequency than a radio frequency, though. It's an actual pulsation of 1 trillion hertz, which is millions of times higher than we can hear as humans. But apparently, this is what they found, that this sound is very distinctive. That's on the surface of stars. And it's funny this just came out, so maybe that can tie in somehow. And they say, of course, that sound can't travel through space because it's a vacuum. But I would say space is not a vacuum. There are always hydrogen atoms in every cubic meter, a few of them at least. And as Mr. Keshe has mentioned before, the plasma field of a hydrogen atom can expand in a vacuum out to a cubic meter, for example. So in fact, all of the hydrogen atoms of the universe are connected together, and perhaps a sound from the other end of the universe can travel through that network, and in fact maybe even instantly, because it's not relaying on compression so much as a plasmatic response from the, so it would be more instantaneous. And I've heard that saying before, that sounds can actually travel through the universe virtually instantly. So it's kind of a funny idea. I don't know if Mr. Keshe, if you run across that. And also we have the ancient idea of the sound of God, or the sound and light are what creates the universe. So sound actually came first, I believe. That's the vibration, and then the light would be the interface of vibrations that would cause the friction that caused the light.
You have to understand a simple principle. We have spoken about this before. And as I say in the book number 4, when it's going to get published, we have explained in a simple way how the light is created on the surface of the stars. So what it is, like Earth, the Earth internally creates its own gravitational magnetic field. So does a star. And then in a condition at a point of the material interaction and plasma interaction, which is on the surface, which they are made of the plasma, especially in the case of the stars, two magnetic fields of the plasma on the surface and the gravitational magnetic field which is created in the center of the star hit each other, leads to the creation of the light on that star. That's how light is created on the stars. By friction of the plasmas against each other, which are on the surface, their gravitational magnetic field, and majority of it, some 90-95% of the light is created due to interaction of the gravitational magnetic field which comes from the center in interaction with the plasma on the surface. This is exact system as in a further distance you have, for example, on the daylight with the Earth. Gravitational magnetic field of the Earth in touch, in interaction and friction with the gravitational magnetic field of the Sun creates the daylight, the friction of it. Whatever creates as a residual, which can be pulled to by the gravitational field forces of the Earth, inwardly becomes what we call light. We see it as a daylight. So the same process starts and is done on the surface of the planet. The interaction of the gravitational magnetic field from the center with the gravitational magnetism of the plasma of the Gans of materials on the surface of the star creates light. And part of that process of friction is noise. So stars do make noise. It's part of the process. We only looked at the light, we never considered the sound. But if you go further, you can see more beyond sound and light. So when they say they discovered they have a noise, now that we understand the technology from its essence, so it's natural. When you rub two hands, you get the heat and the noise. So even the planets make the same noise. The gravitational magnetic field of the Earth at the point of interaction with the oceans, fluid dynamic oceans, which are again a plasma in a different strength, creates a noise. It's inevitable. The friction and the noise on the upper atmosphere is different than inside at the surface, because there is a more plasmatic condition, and that's why you produce Gans of the matters at the outer layers. This can clearly be seen on the hexagonal formation, as I explained this before, of like Saturn. And the North Pole, we see hexagonal formation of the clouds, because it's nano layers in a Gans state, at least 3 layers of different strength. In rotating, they create the hexagonal condition. And that creates its own noise. So, one noise in respect to gravitational field interaction with the Saturn internally itself, and one which is from the interaction of the fields of the Sun in interaction with the gravitational magnetic field of the planet itself. Noise is part of the structure, so they haven't discovered, they have discovered, but they can't explain it now scientifically. You understand how it's made, and you can write to them and say, now we can explain to you how you make the noise. Every entity which is plasmatic in interaction with another entity which is plasmatic creates friction and has a residual sound, light, even the other dimensions that in the future we'll explain. could publish the book number 4 if I had time. A lot of these things we have answered into that.
Mm. Rick, did you show the other pictures?
Yep, I've shown all the pictures several times there now, Ralph. So I think we've pretty much penetrated that.
Yeah. The attempt that I made there to build one, that was before this present design. But even this one you're looking at now, this design, latest design, is going to be it's not the final design. It's going to be improved. I think what I try to do, what I need to do is build the device that creates the sound. It needs to be a separate part, so it can be just dropped in, and taken out.
There was a question regarding that blue part that we see. Well, the live stream will come up in a second here, but the third the blue part is like an insert that goes in. What's that made out of? What material is that? There was a question about that.
Okay, well, the whole instrument, I visualize, if it's manufactured, it will be the same material as the clarinet, right? So it's the same material, but it's just...
right, okay. So
I just color-coded it just to show the distinction.
Okay, good. Okay. There's no particular... And people are wondering how you would nano-coat the wood as well. But generally we don't nano-coat wood. But on the other hand, I wondered why not. And I wonder if Mr. Keshe might say something about that.
I wouldn't build it with wood.
Right.
I wouldn't build it with wood. If I were to manufacture it, I wouldn't do it with wood. I would use it plastic.
Right.
But this was my attempt to see if I can build it, and it's not going to work the way it is now. The first attempt, I need to have the embouchure needs to be a separate device, so it can be dropped in inserted. So it's already fixed, and it just inserted.
Right.
But it has to be designed in such a way that it can take it. It can be fitted in there.
Well, perhaps you can work on it in the next week or two and show us the next improved example.
I don't have that is the problem. I don't have the equipment and the facility to even make the bell, for instance, or but I think I could probably get the embouchure. It should be a metallic material, I think. The embouchure.
I think you better link up with Emmanuel and the boys in China, and most probably they will enlighten us all together. These guys like to play with new ideas, and somehow they come up with some nice things.
Okay, great.
The facilities to start up it.
I'm really looking forward to what you could explain.
This is a very easy instrument to play. I think anyone who is musically inclined can pick up this instrument at the first time and play it almost instantly. There's only two movements for a single key. It can be extremely versatile and be applicable in a large variety of musical scenarios.
Yeah, similar to what they call the xylophone, I think it is, where you move the rod in and out to change the chamber size. Okay.
Have you thought about adding two controls, like one on both sides, and then you could have a different pressure, like it could curve while it travels down? You see what I'm saying? You could shift it, change it back and forward, and then you could actually make a vortex of sound and control the notes as the vortex goes through.
All the lever does is it's attached to the tongue, or what I call diaphragm. It's a flexible diaphragm. So the lever is attached to, or the trigger is attached to the tongue, which moves the tongue up and down to control the volume in the chamber. Right? So it's already,
what if you had two holes and two tongues? I mean,
say again?
you don't have to limit. right?
Say again. What if I?
If you had two pipes that meet up at the same junction point, and then you have the new control for each one as it travels down. But you can also change the pressure or the rotation as it comes out.
And that's possibly a future application. Yes. Yes. But,
nevertheless, what you've done right here is very inspirational. I'm looking forward to what you do next.
Yeah, I visualize in the future. The design will eventually evolve into something that is where the delivery will be almost seamless, almost close to the top of the instrument. So they will not. So very easy to move and manipulate. So I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think even children will be able to play this with some really good efficiency.
It's very easy. It's totally.
Thank you for sharing.
We'll have to continue work on that project, obviously. So it sounds like a collaboration might be in order.
I need some help with it. I cannot do it. I've been trying to do it by myself, and I purchased a 3D printer a couple of years ago, and I thought I could put the design in there, create the design, and print it out, and I couldn't get it to work. I couldn't get it to work. So I said,
Can we have the print? Could we have the 3D printer? We can make it work very easy. If you
I'd be happy to give it to you. I'd be happy to give it to you. It's a MakerBot replicated tool.
Yeah, no, I was just joking because this is Armin's favorite thing.
Well,
I would like to.
That is the way of the future, I think.
Let me explain to you something. When you talk about 3D printers, we spoke about this before. If you use any kind of design and you produce it on the 3D printer, understand that the 3D printers are like a siphon, huh? They are like a sponge. Everything flows through them. So there are ways to seal them, and in the process of sealing, you can create nano layers automatically. One of the ways to do it, which is a lot of guys in the technology who do it, because when you make a nano part like a wheel, or you make a part of a gearbox for a toy or a plastic, you're not concerned about how it performs in a liquid state or a gas state. But all the 3D materials are like a sieve. They're full of holes. It's the way they spread the plastic.
That's true.
So what you got
that cannot be avoided. Yes.
It cannot be avoided, but what you can do, you use acetone. You know acetone, which ladies use to clean their nails from varnish. You add very quickly. You can rub acetone or put acetone in it, 1 or 2 drops, shake it, and dry it immediately. And that acetone, because of the structure of most of the plastics used in 3D materials, it melts them and it seals them. So you get a sealed container, sealed containment. So if you use or if you design a system to be used for a Gans or for holding like liquid materials that you test, you always have to seal it. And some developers of the 3Ds, because we looked at this in depth a couple of years ago to buy different machines, they use a newspaper, and they put the acetone and wrap it in the newspaper, and then it evaporates immediately. Or you can put it in, it's very dangerous, but you have to know what you're doing. You can do it and put it in the microwave for 2 seconds, not more than 2 seconds to 3 seconds, and then you seal all the holes. But you have to know what you're doing, otherwise the thing melts in no time. The 3D printers, this is one of their pitfall at the moment, till this is the way it weaves, the liquid is dispersed on the structure.
Yes.
You know, when your system is sealed, the only test you can do with it is when you're done the sealing, you fill it up with the water, you leave it on a tissue paper, and you go for a long holiday, and you come back. Like you go for a coffee, you go for come back next morning, you see if the level of water is still the same, or your tissue paper is wet. Then you have to repeat it till you seal it. It's the only way. If you blow air in it, it's very difficult, but it's the only way it shows if there is a small seepage.
Well, I certainly like to work with the Chinese Keshe Foundation and see if we can get it manufactured.
Well, you should start a group perhaps on Skype or some other avenue that's good for you, and invite people like Mr. Keshe has mentioned that can join your group and discuss some of the issues involved and try to get things made the way you'd like to. So that can all be arranged.
Yes, I love
there
that.
is something. There is something you got to consider, that would this thing make the same kind of changes if you use electronic systems?
Possibly.
Yes, that's an interesting idea.
What are you thinking about?
Here's a question that just came up from Krasmir that's related, which says, Mr. Keshe, the ancient shaman traditions and modern sound healers have the belief that the voice and sound can transfer intention of the healer to the patient. Would the nano-coated instrument make a better transfer for the intention of healing to the patient?
The voice healing has been part of the structure of human race from the beginning of time. And somewhere down the line, we do it without knowing, and then we forget about it. When a mother holds a child, what does she do to him? Shake him and whisper and sing a song, or just a tune, and the child goes to sleep. The emotion, the love of the mother is transferred through the voice to the child. And you find out each child, majority of them, go to sleep to a specific tune which touches their soul and their physicality. So healers understood this, voice healers understood this, but they covered it on a different direction. Our voice is our intention, is our emotion, and it's part of our soul. We get angry, we talk different. We get sad, we talk different. We express our emotion through the voice sound as much as we do through the reflection of our eyes, but does not indicate the state of the emotion. We can be very sound angry, but inside laughing. You see, they're frightened. Hitler knew this very well. Hitler used this methodically to create, and he used to organize huge crowds for this purpose. Use of the voice for his own self-satisfaction. And the more he marched on with his voice to the crowd, the more he got excited. And it's in his diary, he's written what he did to him, you can read it. So the noise, the voice has a direct effect on the emotion, and healers knew what to do with it. It's not ancient, it's so current, it's from the beginning of time till now. Even you walk down the streets and you see mothers, or if you're a mother yourself or a father, when you have your child in your arm trying to put them to sleep, you try to sing them the same song, because that tunes with their emotion and they find peace with it. There's a very interesting question. I ask this now that we are in this part. As I explained, when the mother sings a song that the child finds peace in the emotional and physical part together, that he goes to sleep. Does this mean when we create peace and balance in ourselves and in our society, would we all go to sleep? Or will we become too tranquil to go to sleep? And we don't see a bunch of zombies walking, but we find people who are content. Can we play these tunes in the markets that people, they play fast music in the shops, you do shopping very quick, and then they play slow music, you take your time to see as many items as possible. They have tested, there are a lot of research on the effect of sound on the emotion of the man. And they use it in shopping centers. Some shops use it extensively. The chain stores, because I used to be part of these kind of structures years ago, consider what kind of music is played when. On Saturdays you play loud, fast music, because the traffic is so high you want to move them through. And they walk with their speed. Monday, Tuesdays you play very slow music, because there's not that many customers. The longer you can keep peaceful customers, the more they shop.
Mm.
It's a very interesting subject you brought up.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
And I think there probably could be many spin-offs, applications from this this approach.
We'll see, suggested to the knowledge seekers when they are in there. I'll come on a Thursday and see which knowledge seekers would like to take it further in the Institute.
Sure.
I don't think all the knowledge seekers are there to fly, and all the knowledge seekers are not there to heal. There are musicians, there are postmen, and the rest. They want to find an easy way to post a letter. So we are collectively trying to do the best.
Okay, perhaps we can move on now to another thing. Is Ivan on the GoToMeeting there now, Vince?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you,
for
Ralph.
sharing.
Appreciate that very much, and we expect a follow-up sometime in the future as well.
A lot of follow-ups.
Yes,
Hey
exactly.
guys, I'm here.
Well, hi, Ivan. How you doing? I'll try to get your videos lined up here.
Yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine.
Can you excuse me for 2 minutes? I'll be back. I have to see something very important. I'll be back in 2
Sure.
minutes.
And meanwhile, we'll get Ivan to sing his favorite songs for the next 2 minutes. You ready, Ivan?
Better don't wish for that.
You can sing in your native language. That's okay.
It doesn't make it better.
Okay, carry on. Sorry about that.
Okay.
You know, something very interesting, just because you have the picture of the Institute on the screen, on the live stream. Mark and I, we were the only students yesterday sitting in the classroom, in the lab. And it's so peaceful and it's so quiet. We were the only 2 students, I think, in the whole building. And it'll be a nice place to learn. The building is virgin, I mean, hardly gets used. So the knowledge seekers will come there, they have a football pitch and do and learn what they like. Carry on.
Okay, so the question go a little bit theoretical. I did something here. We took the Gans and got some water and I put some dust in. I made it up and I let it dry on the sun.
Can you repeat
And
that? We cannot understand. Can you repeat, please?
So after the workshop that we spoke, that when you leave the Gans in water, you still keep the dynamic condition of the structure. I thought maybe let's see what is going to happen if we put some dust inside. If the fields that the dust contain are going to come solid in some way. So I put some dust in the Gans and I keep the water like one night. And then on the next day, I let everything to dry on the sun, all the water to evaporate. So then when we clean the dust and we see the nanomaterial, we can see that it's getting like a solid structure, like very dry. And the gums, they stick to each other. It's not like when you dry it out of the water with your stove, like in the sun, it's a little bit different effect. And the thing is that, like I find out later, my dust was, I think it has some iron in it, so it reacts to magnet. I think this is the reason, because everything around is reacting to magnet. So I was wondering, is it possible in this process of drying the dust and the gums together on the sun, maybe the gums get some of the qualities of the material that are within the environment? Like, I mean, we know that in the GAN structure, we don't have the electron and the proton, it's all together. But does it mean that when the GAN is getting out of its condition, we are having the electron back in the whole structure? And in this matter, is it possible to consider that we're going to have, depends on what material we use in the drying, is it possible that we can get the qualities of this material like magnetism in the GANs also?
We've done a lot of tests regarding this. I have a container which internally I've done what you are trying to show, and over time we see residual material being attached and we see the shape of the magnet in the water. It's a pure water, nothing in it. But over time we have started seeing we can see exactly the shape of the magnet from the back. You see at the moment you're playing with the magnet directly with the Gans. Put the magnet underneath the paper, like, you know, you play with the dust of iron and you see what behavior you get. But on the other hand, if you create a spectrum of the field, some of these fields match your Gans, and then you get an interaction. So you have no option but the interaction of the fields.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And something else, is it possible? Because in a nano layer, we see that we have current DC. And we know that when we have electric current, we have magnetic induction also. So is it possible that in this material, because we have like, this is a bigger stone, and I have CO2 on it, and I can measure some flow, is it possible that when it's changing the polarity of the field, actually it's the moment when the material is detached from the magnet? Because I see it's reacting to the magnet, but in the same time it's not keeping consistent position on it. It fell down, it detached itself.
Depends on how compact the Gans is. As years ago, I made a nano-coated material. I made nano-coated wires and tried to see the interaction of the motion of magnets on the nano layer producing a current or voltage. This does show interaction, but only on the fields which are a strength of the copper electron level. So somewhere here where you see attachment to your magnet, there is a magnetic field strength in there that matches the strength of components in the matter you're using. If you use maybe iron magnets on their own, you won't get such attraction the way you do. It's a component. There is something interesting which I looked at this years ago. We get, I have to be very precise how to explain this, not to go the wrong way. When we use certain plasmatic conditions and we put magnets to contain it for certain diseases, because the people drink from the cups, and then we always collect our cups back, because when I open a container it gives me a good insight of the process. We see, for example, you're using a coated magnet, is internally different than the coating outside. That
Yeah.
in certain conditions the coating falls off, but the metal magnet inside or the main structure inside does not change. And in some cases we see half of the magnets totally disappears, it's not there. I've shown this to the knowledge seekers. The shape of magnet when it comes out of health sections, systems, is 99% of the time is not what you put in. The strength changes, the plasma changes. Even when you open these systems, you feel different. They give you a different plasmatic condition. So what you have created is plasmas. If you find the right strength magnetic gravitational field, they'll be attracted, but is not as strong as a matching twinity. Because the fields in your Gans should twin with your magnet, that they stick together like two magnets, that's why they jump. But if there is some residual strength near enough to what you have, then you get this kind of just about a touch, but not a pull and taking off. But the coating itself, if the coating is magnetic, which in most of the cases they are not, they are just metals which are coated on top, which they behave like magnets. Then the interface between the two magnets gives a different field gap, because it's not 100% cohesion between the coating and the metal part, the magnet part inside. In that layer, you produce gravitational magnetic field strength, which matches the same as the layer between your ganses. That's where the attraction takes place, not between the Gans and the magnet, but the microscopic, nanoscopic layers of the fields in the gap space, which matches the same as the nano gap. Even though you have a solid CO2, you still have some gaps in between. And my line of thinking has been for a long time, is not the metals and the CO2 which they attract, is the air or oxygen or whatever you want to call it, which is in a minute nano layer at the interface between the two coating of the metal and the two metals, which matches to the ones of the CO2, or what do you call it, the space in between the magnetic field. Because in these gaps, the fields are still existing. They're in a plasmatic form, but not connected to any matter entity. It's very much like when you put water in a CO2 and then you have a gap in it. Even the water is there, it behaves like a magnet, but it's not magnetized. And I think that's where most of the attraction between your magnet and your CO2 comes from, and partially residual of the fields in them which are matching. If they don't match, they don't attract, so it's simple. But because you have a Gans, it's a dynamic plasmatic field.
May I ask another question, which is interesting? Just
Can you
theoretical.
answer your own question for a change? Ask it and answer it, and I'll tell you if you're correct.
Well, yeah, okay. I was thinking that when you say we were speaking about how to bring the Gans back to matter, I was thinking that okay, in the Gans condition, you explained that the electron and the proton all behave as one. So we have one magnetosphere and no fields out of it that are like let's say a proton out of the neutron. So each gas is like a structure of neutron, like a field. So actually, when we want to bring the gas back to matter, we have to create a condition where we allow some of the fields inside of the gas to get out and get like the structure of the atom. Is this make sense?
No, but I think can you repeat it, because I see. Can you go more in detail what exactly you're talking about?
I mean, you explain that when the elements come in the gas, they come in the twinity and they create a magnetosphere around it. So around this element, actually, we don't have electron attached to it. We don't have the plasma attached to it, and it's a clear magnetic field with its own magnetosphere around. And if we see the structure of a neutron, which is a neutron in still not matter, we see the same thing, that we have a field and we don't have electrons and protons around it. And then when it's coming matter, actually it's part of the field get out, like you explained, and it's getting proton, and then part of the field gets out and getting the structure of the electron, and getting the whole structure, and then to matter. So it is the same in the GANs. We need to create a condition where we allow the part of the field inside of the GANs to get out, and then to continue the whole structure.
Possibly.
Okay.
Extended knowledge, go back and look at the structure of the... A lot of times it's good to just draw the things on a piece of paper and try to not to get carried away with it, but look at the realities and the interactions, and then you'll find the answer. It's very much like I've seen, I receive different comments on emails and different places, and I see comments sent to me through different directions from people around the foundation or other people who go and find a way to contact us. A lot of people, and especially research centers, when they test some of the Gans material, they tell, for example, with a zinc, it's a zinc oxide. But they do not understand how the process was produced. Part of the process is that if your salinity is not in the right length, like with the zinc plates, or when you made a caustic, your caustic carries very much like a chlor or chloric acid, even though you produce Gans of the matter, but you produce a state of matter Gans, which means the zinc is released from the plate, the same as you make a nano-material, and in zinc being released, like the way you plate your copper with a low current, very low current, when you connect your plates and your salinity is in a specific condition, strength, then you don't absorb so much CO2, because most of the energy of the fields is used to separate the zinc that it gets attracted, absorbed, or with the water becomes zinc oxide. It's a very fine position. This is why we emphasize on, like, you wash your plates clearly, that you don't carry any chlor around or whatever, or you don't carry any acidity, because, for example, acids have effect on certain gases because of their gravitational magnetic fields, but not on the others. We've seen the reports even from Chinese group, and Emmanuel has done, where he adds certain kind of vinegar and he converts the gas into a black material at the bottom of the pot. All it does, it takes the energy which was given, and the matter changes from a gas state to the nanomaterial. So you make a solid state nano material, and you see there's a black pieces at the bottom of your pot. You have to continuously be aware on the conditions you create these things. If you put the plates outside the container, as we see with the Omega Quantum, you will not produce that much CO2, but you still produce CO2 without no touch with the metal, which shows the property of the effect of the fields. In cases where the contamination, which with materials which in conjunction with water can behave like acids, and a very extremely low current which floats between the two plates, you start creating a condition of plating from one thing to another, one plate to another, but because it's on such a weak state, immediately becomes the Gans of the matter, like a zinc oxide. And when you add some acids or other materials to it, it behaves two ways. The zinc does not disappear, but becomes like a black material bottom. So now you produce nanomaterials. And then you say this is an oxide, zinc oxide. But in fact, it is a Gans of zinc oxide, which by adding acid to it, you create an environment that it returns back to its nano state. This is one of the ways of creating pure nanomaterials, where you separate it, you make a matter out of it as a layer, then you release it as a Gans, and then by adding another material, you convert it back to a nanostructure. But it'll never return back to its matter state unless you add or create a specific condition. I know Emmanuel has done some tests on this line. I was talking to Sohail about it. He was explaining to me a couple of weeks ago. Because we have done these tests for a long time. So we see the state of matter, we understand the process. And if you look at the bottom of your pots, if it's transparent, you usually see something black. Or you see the material. It means you have managed not only to reverse back the atomic structure into a nano, you have managed to return it back to its atomic structure, but individually. But you need a lot of them to be able to see them. So this is part of the process you have to observe, because I've seen a lot of people who say that they test the plate and it's a zinc oxide, but as I say, you have to look. Some of the plates which we sent out originally, if a right condition salinity is created on it, because the caustic was contaminated with chlor when it was with us, initially it wasn't contaminated because we get all black material. But after, through the sabotage which we saw, it was part of my life, was about to be taken by the same type of operation, they added chlor to it because it was tested independently by the Keshe Foundation support people, and they say it's a additional chlor added to it. This chlor, when we made the caustic, being in the water of the caustic, creates a condition of acidity which becomes plating, and half plate and half Gans process. So now some of you might have seen a white material which is actually a Gans of the zinc oxide, but when you add certain acid to it, then it disappears. Then the material, actually if you look at the bottom of your plate, you see black spots, which means you have converted the Gans to a nano state matter. then it has huge applications. Then you can use it, the magnet, and you see the performance. It's not that you capture CO2. The CO2 capture is very a small part of it, but because you created the right condition environment and the connection between the two plates created a nano current flow which is needed, now you've done exactly what you did before by connecting the plate to a current flow directly to a power supply. So you have to understand the process. I know I received an email from people who've done some tests in Warwick University, and they say we have a question mark about these things. Now they can understand the process, what it is and how it is. You have to ask the people if they have a residue at the bottom, and if that residue is black, then you understand you created a pure nanomaterials. This happens in the conditions when the manufacturers do not clean up, or the caustic or the process creates a condition, or when you use salt water to create a condition of the release absorption of CO2, the chlor in NaCl of your salt creates an acid condition which is in that position, tries to become half, is a schizophrenic. It creates a plating condition, but at the same time it behaves as a gas, it looks like a gas. And then when you add certain acid or vinegars to it, then it disappears, and you say, you see, this is fraud because it's not. In fact, you had a zinc CO2 Gans state, now you have converted into the nano, that's why you don't see it. So you have to then test it and see if it behaves as a magnetic condition, and then you know you have a nanomaterial in your hand, because nanomaterials are plasmatic magnetic field condition. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this, but you got to understand the process. That's why I said, even suggested to Sohail at the beginning when they were developing this unit, try to put the plates outside the container, or coat with silicon the plates, because we received some information that these plates are too thin and they disappear. So by coating it, you don't touch the material, you only create the environment for the CO2 captures. These are part of the process of learning in manufacturing by the Chinese group they have to look into. As we've seen people hang zinc sheets and strips around the container, and they still collect CO2 inside in the water salt, because partially the condition of the copper condition creating the environment is not needed. But in that structure, you create a gravitational magnetic field strength of CO2, which gets absorbed from the environment. Look at the totality and understand the totality. It is important that you understand the situations you have created or is created for you without seeing. And that's why I say you have to explain your point of view, that we understand, and how you've done it, that maybe we can add to the knowledge. So if you use zinc plates and you have a wrong salinity and you didn't wash your plate right, or a condition which is created that you have released zinc oxide, which is about different kind of creamish white than the white of the CO2, when you add acid to it or different kind of composition material like vinegar into it, you say, you see, it's disappeared. It has not disappeared. We know this already. Even as I say, Emmanuel has shown it in his work. Then you add the energy to the acid link, your electrons, that you convert the gas into a matter state, which is a zinc, nano zinc, which is correct, and it proves the correctness of the technology. But because you have not created the right environment, your CO2 is a fraction, it's not the totality of what you absorb. Okay, do you want to expand?
It was mentioned in the chat that the salt concentration may have been too high, and that may have been one of the causes. Excuse me, one of the causes of the zinc plate being eaten in the salt water and so on.
No, I think the manufacturers have to create a testing for their caustic, because it's cheaper to add other materials into it. They have to make sure the caustic which they produce these plates are pure caustic, not additives. Because we had this, Arman and Marco can tell you that at the beginning when we used this, we bought 20 kilo, 25 kilo of the caustic. It was brought to us as a gesture of, I can get it cheaper, but then we found out what it was a gesture for. At the beginning we had all our plates black. And when the knowledge seeker left, any plates we made for the first batch of CO2 kits which are exported out of Italy, they were all green. Most of you seen it. I asked Professor Luzzi, who has the facilities, can you look into the caustic for me, urgent? And he was with us, Arman and Marco were there when he was there. He took them back and they have the laboratory, they can test, and said the chlor has been added to this. And that's why you get this condition. It was contaminated. But in a way, it taught us a lot of things. In a way, it was a fantastic contamination because we learned a lot from it. And now we produce again plates without green patches on it because it was part of the chlor which created that condition of copper oxide on top of the nano layers. And this, when you put it with the zinc, creates a different condition because the chlor gets absorbed between the layers. And then when you put it in the water, it creates an acidic condition for the zinc plate to be dissolved. It's actually plating zinc. The atomic structure gets released to become nano, but at the same time, in that process, it becomes a caustic of, what do you call it, oxidized, and it becomes a gas of itself, but still in the matter state. And then when you add acidity, it just becomes like a black. You get a nano, or you get a zinc in the nano state in the bottom of your container. If you look at it, it sits there at the bottom of it. The whole process is to understand how it's been led to what you see, and the rest is easy. Any other questions?
Okay, what else have we got here? There's one question. How come salt is expanding on the walls of the container? Well, I guess that was part of the one where the salt concentration was too high. Maybe that was part of that question. I have to follow the live stream here. I think we already have that.
I think we can answer it a slightly different way. In so many ways, the expansion of the salt is that the air we breathe is not pure water, what they call oxygen and nitrogen. It contains certain floating salt components and different salts. So it is obvious that you get these kind of residuals when you're dealing with caustics. You extract salt or sodium from the environment.
Yeah. There was a
question
on the pH of the salt water. Can it affect the Gans production or the field of the Gans? I think you've already at least partially answered that by saying that the acidity of the environment definitely does make a difference. I'm not sure if you need to expand on that anymore. You still there, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, okay. I am.
Good. What else do we have?
I want to share something. I'm Lisa. I want to share something about the paint pad. because we in China we have many people bought the paint pad, so they are doing like every kind of testing and like that. So there's one person, he shared his experience about the paint pad. This person, he is like staying at home and practicing something, so he hardly eat. So he is like in a pretty weak shape, but he has nothing like a pain or diseases. So he think of idea. So he want to do a exercise. So he did a push-ups, see how the paint pad will works. So he did like 20 push-ups, and then he felt very tired. So he put the paint pad on his back, and take him like 5 minutes to recover, and then he continued to do 20 push-ups again, and then he like first time he felt like a sore, a pain on the ab and the arms and the shoulders. But the second time he did after 5 minutes using the paper, and then he did another 20 push-ups. The second time only took him 2 minutes to recover, and then he did like continue another 4 group push-ups. So like every time he do 20 and then take a 2 minutes rest with the paint pad on his back. And then he did 120 push-ups. And then he didn't feel any pain on the like consequences. So he only felt a little bit tired, but no pain at all. And then he did 50. What's that? It's not push-up. It's a face up. What was that called? And he did 50, and he didn't feel anything. He think the paint pad was so amazing. And also he feel like the paint pad like gave him the energy. He feel the energy, the circulation is much better. So that's his experience. And he also want to ask like how long he can use the paint pad, and whether will be like take too much energy from it. So he want to share this experience and want to ask a question about it. So Mr. Keshe, can you explain on that?
These pads are plasmatic condition, create the plasmatic condition the way they are used. But there is a huge warning danger with this, a huge warning. The point is, the reason you don't feel the pain and it reduces can create a false point. If once the pain is finished, you do not use the system anymore. The minute you felt that the pain is over, you remove it. Because in the plasmatic condition, you create a connection in the carbon state nano-link of the Gans of the amino acid, and what they call acidity between the muscle tissues. And if you carry on using it after your pain is gone, it comes to a point that the body will misinform the brain about any other further incoming pain, which means you will not feel it, and then you can stretch the muscle beyond the stretch and damage it. We have a very good detailed experience with the sports people. This is part of the secure technology development which we've done over years. We collaborate with the doctors in the sports section. We've done it for years now, and we see we don't look for a change of performance of the sports people at the highest level. We look for recovery time and immediate stop after recovery. We understand this process very well. It's been going on for nearly since 2007, 2008. The sports injuries, recovery, but you have to stop using the system the minute the pain is gone, and you don't try again and see if the pain comes back. There is a principle in the development, and that is the process of the working. This works exactly in the line of the plasmatic magnetic field of the body of the man. And once the pain is gone, you have to stop. You have to stop. It's not that you go and do again and say, okay, my pain goes, I can extend the use. It's in some people has effect, in some people doesn't have effect. This is not a side effect. It's just that you get to the point that the body automatically releases the links of the pain, and you don't feel the pain. It's very good for sports people who are trained to use these things, because it brings a time of recovery from weeks and weeks to a matter of a couple of days. High intense sports people, we have tested this on. Some of the world champions or national champions have been using the system with the foundation, not for what do you call it, doping, but for the recovery from local pain. And because it's not like an ice pack you put or you spray, it processes the whole structure. We have some champions using this technology, and it's well documented. We work with the sports doctors in that level. You cannot push the limit. It is not a shot of painkiller. It is processing what causes the pain. It's not a drug. It's not a. I know some people use it. For example, I was told by Sohail, I think in Malta or somewhere, that they had a pain in the neck and it did not help with the pain in the neck. If you have a disc, it will not help with the pain in the neck, because that's a disc, that's a defect. It has to be sorted. The pain comes from the movements and the position of C1, C2, and the pressure on the pads, on the discs. Sorry. These pressure pads are in a way a form of part of the structure of the body of the man, because in their structure carry part of the elements of the physicality of the line of communication. An information carrier. They look very simple, but I studied very carefully before we even use it. You cannot keep on extending to see how much better you do. Let me explain this very clearly. When I came back from Iran, due to the suspect cancer in pancreas and liver, and in developing systems to overcome the condition of the pancreas cancer, I developed technologies for myself and systems to overcome, which has been successful. But years later, 3-4 years later, I fell off a horse, in a horse riding with the family, that I broke all my bones. All 8 ribs were broken, and 2 broken in 2 places, so I had 10 broken ribs. And I had no pain. It's amazing. There were no pains, and then when we used the system, there were no pains at all. While breaking the bones, I did not feel any pain. And this was very strange, even though the broken ribs penetrated the lung, the kidney, and the liver. Then later on, years later, in analyzing why I did not feel the pain, one of my conclusions in respect to my own structure was the possible use of the systems, materials which I made for myself. I have short-circuited my neurosystem for a time being, or for a short time. And this was dangerous for me in a way, because if I would have felt the pain in the mountains where I fell, I wouldn't have got up. I would have stayed grounded. Or when they moved me, I wouldn't feel the pain. And then they wouldn't move me the way they did. This is one of the things, when you use a system, you have to let go when the effect of pain is finished. And if it persists, you have to ask, you have to look for a solution with the medical people. This is a pain aid pad. It's not that it cures all your pain. You have to understand what's the source of the pain. And don't extend the use. The problem is these are plasmas. So they, as much as they give, they take too. So it's very much like olden days. I always compare this system, an acupuncture and a leech. It's a magnetic leech. You know, in olden days they used to put a leech on your body to suck blood out, to take the poison out, they call it. Because these are plasmatic, they have both gravitational and magnetical. So in a way, because this specific pad creates the property in the way it does, it extracts fields from the environment of the body too. So it's anti-inflammatory. Behaves as an anti-inflammatory, because when it takes the field away, the inflammation goes down with it. Because the field is not there. It's exactly like chemotherapy. When you have a chemotherapy, the energy of the chemo expands the cell, and the cell cannot go through the bone, and then you lose your immune system. But this is the reverse. These systems are plasmatic, gravitational, to be like acupuncture, to go in and to concentrate the fields, or just, and gravitational, which means they extract, so they behave like anti-inflammatory too, because they take energy from the liquid or whatever is in the body, which is, you have to realize something very important, and the whole structure you have missed. How these systems work. And how you, doctors, I know a large number of doctors listen to all these programs. You have to understand the process of pain. What does it mean to be pain? Pain is an information electrical plasmatic condition which is higher than what the neurosystem can carry physically. So the excess energy shows itself as a current which needs to flow somewhere, and it creates a charge release, and you call it a pain. With this system, because it's plasmatic magnetic field, it links up with that extra charge to be taken out of the environment through the gravitational field of the plasma within the matter. So you don't have the charges there to create pain. It's a phantom pain. Phantom pain is when the information through the neurosystem comes to go and, for example, to replace a cell in the tip of the finger. When you had the arm cut, so that finger is not there, the information goes nowhere. So, but the information has been released by the brain through the neurosystem. So it's a charge. When it gets, it's got nowhere to go, it discharges in the environment, and in that discharge, the other nerves in the environment pick up this extra discharge, and they call it a pain, and we call it a phantom pain. So with these pads, scientifically, we understand what they do. So what happens? The gravitational field of the plasma, which is dispatched by the pad, links up to the nano plasmatic current, because it's a plasmatic, and the current which comes from the nerve is in plasmatic. They link up very easily, so it's taken away. So that creation of additional energy in a pain condition creates inflammation, or environment of the heat, that they call it inflammation. So when it links up, it takes it away, and then the line of communication becomes normal, and then you have no pain. There is no leakages of current flow of the plasmatic from the nerve into the environment. You have to understand the whole process. So in a way, you have an acupuncture and a leech system together on these pads. And you cannot use it, because if you use it, for example, when you have a pain somewhere in your body, and then you use it to get rid of pain, and that part has a cancer, you defeat the object. You just allow the cancer to grow uncontrolled. So understand what it is. That's why we recommend most of these just for arm and leg, because we don't see that much cancer in the arms and legs. If you use these for any other part, like your hip pain or whatever, understand what you're doing and the way it's done. Now we have a case that a very well-known sport person was recommended, and even past 5 years, for the operation on his hip. And he asked me a few weeks ago, I need to, because he was more or less dragging and limping on his right leg. I said to him, you have to understand how you got to this point. Just because the doctors can't understand, they say, okay, we do a hip replacement. I sat him down and said, you explain to me, you're a judo instructor, you teach high-level sports people and police and the rest. You explain to me how you have come to become in this position. That they want to replace the hip and the top of the femur because of the cartilage getting destroyed. It took us a few conversations, but we went to the root. And then I explained to him where and how he has come to damage his cartilage in his hip and in the top end of his femur. And in less than 4 weeks, he's walking more or less normal. We use the pad for anti-inflammatory condition, where it is, but we put the cause, the reason for the movement of the femur, to put pressure on the hip that it destroys the cartilage, right. And now he still start teaching again or practicing judo when I was speaking to him. And I said, you can't do that. You have to allow for the cartilage to be developed. We removed the inflammation caused and the pain caused, but go to the source of what it was. What happens? You're all ladies. A lot of you ladies are coming into the northern summer hemisphere. You love to wear these fancy slippers. I've talked about this before. Maybe now we can add to it. All these fancy shoes you wear, even men, sometimes when you walk around the furniture, you get your small toe on your foot clipped on the door. You feel the pain, maybe inflammation for a few days, and then it's gone, it's finished. But in fact, that inflammation, that clip of the little toe, is beginning of the disc replacement between 5 to 10 years down the line. Understand the reason why. The body of a man has two balancing systems. One is a nerve which goes right across the flat of your foot, which controls the physical balance. And one is your in middle ear that it controls the balance for your emotional, the brain side. Because they have nothing to do with each other, they're just stuck on a pin together. When you clip your toe, and it moves. It's a micro nano movement. What this does, this disbalances this central nerve system. So the central nerve line in your foot has to adjust itself to accommodate this movement of the small movement of the toe. So now, because it has to adjust itself, it has to adjust the position of other toes. It has to adjust the position of your ankle. Because if you had a clip on your toe, you'll find out later on, few weeks, few months later, you start twisting your ankle. You walk into your ankle and you see it swollen and you get inflammation of it. And you say, I've got a pain in my ankle, because the pain comes from the damage to the toe months ago. And in the central nerve line of the foot, trying to adjust for that little damage. So everything has to be restructured. Now you become the Tower of Pizza. How much you can bend to accommodate this. Now the ankle goes. Months later, the muscles are still correcting that little toe. Now the knee has to move to adjust for the change in the ankle. Then your hip has to move to adjust for the knee movement. Then what happens, the whole vertebra has to adjust. Now you become a real power, what do you call it, Tower of Pizza. So the disc tends and your disc squeezes out and you get the back pain, and then you get sciatic nerves, pain, and the rest of it. None of Yes, none of the osteopaths and chiropractors will ever put you right, because if they put you right the first time, that's it. You are not going for a visit and there is no job. I teach this to osteopaths. I've shown this to Dr. Elia. I teach this to the sports, what do you call it, doctors. I teach this thoroughly with the chiropractors. So what happened? Now in this case, the knee has moved, the femur has moved in wrong position, so now the top of femur sits in the casket of the hip, so it's rubbing and it's destroying the cartilage. Now they want to change the femur, but they change the top end of femur, but they don't solve the problem of the misalignment. What you have to do is very simple. You find a very nice guy or a nice woman, being husband or wife or boyfriend or whatever, somebody off the street. You lie down flat. We'll make a video of this and we'll let you use it, because this stops a lot of disc operations. Every few weeks, it has to be done as a normal process of life, especially in summertime, which clip off your fingers or your toes. So what you do, you lie flat on the bed. You ask your what I call gymnast or your chiropractor to hold your small toe in a way of pulling it. You know the way you pull your fingers and you hear clicks? You start from the small toe and you go one by one, pulling the toe in a straight line direction upwards, that all the toes come in line. In this process, you bring that nerve system back to its position, and you repeat this the first 2 weeks, 3 times a week, and after that once a week, twice a week, till you get rid of the pain. Then your ankle moves in its position. You'll have some pain in your ankle for a few days, because now it has to go back to where it came. You get some pain in your knees, which has go to pain, and then you get your femur to be adjusted, moves just a micron upwards, and it doesn't destroy the cartilage. There it goes, a hip operation. You don't need to spend years in hospitals and operations. Then all the disc situation goes the same. So majority of these kind of processes, but there is one thing you have to remember. You did the left toe, which was they did the left foot. You have to do the right foot the same at the same time. Because the side has adjusted to the movement of the left side. The right side has to be adjusted. But when you did the toes, now you have corrected only the nerve foot. You haven't corrected the rest. What you do, The next is you put a hand on the palm, the fat end of the foot, which is just below the toes, and you put a hand under the ankle, holding the ankle firmly, and you just pull the back of the foot towards you in one jerk. That it allows all the muscles, nervous system in the legs and sciatic nerve to adjust themselves. There it goes. All the operations, and there is no less job for the doctors to do. And the process from the time you click your finger or your toe till the time when you have a disc operation is 10 to 15 years. You totally forget about that little clip of toe on the door or a furniture or whatever. You do this with your children in the growth time on a regular basis, once every 2-3 months, because children are active, they run around, they do things, and then you find them, they walk straight, and it's because there is no pain, they become peaceful children. These are little things you do to help yourself, but then when we get to the hip, which is moved a fraction of micron, is not putting pressure on the cartilage to destroy it, you use the pain pads to allow, as I said, the gravitational magnetic field, the inflammation in the point of interaction. And then you find a man living a normal life where he was in misery for years. Understand the process and understand how you do it. Understand the totality. You cannot stop the degeneration of the disc if you do not get the pressure off it. You release the pain, but you have to move the pressure away that the cartilage can develop. This gentleman was with me yesterday, and he walks as normal. I asked him to run with Marco a few weeks ago when we were here, and he can run for the first time in 5 years. We do not report everything we do, but we develop the total technology that when the knowledge seekers are here can follow, can do. You have to go in the source of a problem, not trying to sort out the side effect. The present medicine only deals with the side effect because it generates a lot of money. If they sort the problem from the source, there is no need for it. But as I always tell them, there's 7 billion of us and we keep on damaging ourselves. So you have a business for future. You don't need to what I call eliminate the scientists who come up with solutions. These pain pads have very much plasmatic gravitational magnetic field environment. Because of that, they want the field which exert as a magnetical behaves like a acupuncture pin. It concentrates the energy to one point, and the gravitational magnetic field extracted from the point, which disperses through the body and even to the skin and even to the matter you carry as a cover. So understand what you're doing and the way you're doing it.
Mr. Keshe, there was a question, can the pain pad be cut into pieces and each piece used?
Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not recommended. You can do all sorts of things with it. They used to fracture. When used too much of them, they crack. I asked Sohail to see into it, that it doesn't happen. The effect is from 1 centimeter to 10 centimeter or 1 meter is the same. But when you use it low as a patch, a small piece, does not create the condition of the plasmatic, it becomes more layering. When you have it as a bandage around you, your body section becomes part of inside the core of the plasma. And it behaves that way because I was going to ask Dr. Elia to do the next health section on the skin of the man as the biggest organ. Because we have to understand the operation of the skin of the man. The skin of the man is one of the best coated reactors God has ever created in a matter state. Then you understand when you put these pads on, your body, the nano layers of your skin reflects part of the energy back into the plasma, and it's in tune with your body, it's tuned with the plasma of your body. So if Dr. Elia does the next Tuesday teaching on the biggest organ of the man, which is the skin of the man, then you understand most probably why and how these mats work so effectively. Even in a pain condition, in a burn condition, they have some good results. Even in physical injuries, they have some good results. We've been testing this for 10, 15 years. I know more or less everything, the way they can work and they can operate. I will not use it for a disc damage, because this damage it will not solve the problem. What has happened, the disc is damaged, is crushed, so it's disbalanced. You have to grow the disc enough that it takes the pressure off the nerve, then you don't have a pain. And we have developed this technology fully. And there are a number of cases we've developed. If you have a spinal, what you call a disc damage, even if you are twisted, as long as the disc is not removed and vertebra is not fused together, you can go back to normality between 3 to 6 months. And this is one of the things that the Keshe Foundation Health will develop in the coming weeks and months. That if you suffer from any pain damage in the vertebra as a disc damage, it can be eradicated in a very short time. Dr. Ivan Mitchell can tell you, we run a number of cases in Belgium. He's been operated, what you call it, witness to 1 or 2 cases. The process is to understand the reason, and then you can solve the problem. Not just try to get rid of the pain, understand where the pain comes from, because if it's temporarily, you hit yourself somewhere or whatever, and you have a pain or a kneecap pain or whatever, yes, the pain goes, but if you persist, don't keep on putting it to get rid of it. Understand the reason behind it, and then try to solve the problem. Then the pain pad will work effectively. And don't use it for headache, because I can tell you what it can do to you. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
You're quite welcome, Lisa.
I had something I'd like to show here when you started discussing the idea of wrapping the pain pad around and how the skin wraps around. And so I'd like to show my wraparound Gans mug, basically. So can you see the live stream there? Well, it's not coming through yet on the live stream. It's just via...
Yeah, we see a pipe and a jar, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So what this is a special kind of jar in that it's got a double wall on it. So it's got a air gap normally in between the two walls of the jar. So I've got Gans in between that double wall. So it's empty inside the jar, but there is Gans in the double wall of the jar here. So you can see it sort of floating around in there, and I can shake that up and so on, and it's basically a jar with the enclosed field of the Gans around it. Now you can put on the cap, for example, it's got the straw and so on, and one could potentially use it in a health manner. Perhaps it would have to be tested, of course. You might be able to breathe through the straw or breathe into the jar with the straw, to put your moisture into the jar for particular experiments and so on. And there's actually, I think, a lot of potential with this concept. For example, I had this new little device that I had created, a radio type device for detecting gravity waves and so on. And I put that right inside the jar, and it actually increased the ability for this device to you could hear the audio signal increased. So I'm interested in using this as a sort of a radio antenna, or more like a detector or sensor. And partly to that effect, I've also added another thing to it, which is it's got a little tail out the back here. This is a nano-coated wire. The wire is nano-coated. It goes into the double wall of the jar, and you can see it alongside the jar there. It actually snakes down inside the Gans, and it's nano-coated copper. It's very fine wire. There's probably 100 strands, or at least 80 strands there in this special speaker wire. It's very thick, and it's nano-coated all the way through the wire, because I nano-coated one end, and it was able to travel all the way through the case of the wire. I actually had a little help with that when I applied a vacuum on one end of it, but it travels through anyway, and it's coated right through to the other end. So the idea is to attach this other end to a detection circuit of some sort that will be able to be tied into the Gans material inside. And with that, we can either use this as a detector, or possibly put energy into it, a small voltage perhaps, to create an actual signal. It could be a transmitter. So it can be an actual transmitter or a receiver. And it's interesting because these types of bottles, these plastic, this one's it's interesting. It's called Aladdin. It's a Aladdin mason jar. But I had a nice analogy to an Aladdin's lamp, and I had supposed maybe if it was rubbed in just the right way, maybe it could produce some sort of magical properties. And in fact, Elia mentioned when I showed this in the plasma reactor group last night, that one could take one's fingers and apply them on each side of this device, and possibly activate the device that way with the right intention and so on. So we have sort of a multi-purpose unit here. I was going to say, these are becoming quite common. They're available in the local Walmarts and that sort of thing. And now they're starting to have a whole wall of these double-walled type containers. So if it was something that proves useful in some way, it's a good way to keep the Gans away from any materials, or away from you're not ingesting it, you're not touching it. It would be a totally sealed. These units are actually very strong. They're polycarbonate type plastic, and they're hard to break. And I thought that could be quite interesting. So that's there's more to it than that in terms of some of the uses that we sort of brainstormed on, and you can imagine some of the ways it could be used. I'll just briefly sort of show you something else here that goes along with this, which is this cup I found also in Walmart for $3. It's interesting that it's got a straw on the outside of the cup that goes into the bottom of the cup. So when you draw from the top part of the straw here, it goes all the way around the cup in a spiral and then out. And so that's interesting in itself. I thought maybe put Gans in the cup, a little pump on here, and it would pump in a spiral around the cup. You can concentrate the coil in a certain way, maybe add more to it, and so on. And so I couldn't resist for $3 to bring it home, trying to put it to work. And then I thought, I was sitting here last night, and I thought, I wonder. And so I decided to put this inside the other Gans cup, and it just happened to fit exactly perfectly. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Now I've got an inner reactor place, a gap in between with a spiral plastic polycarbonate pipe that goes into that, and then the Gans material, and so on. Which this could be nano coated. This cup could be nano coated on the inside where the Gans is, or the inside of the cup and the outside of the cup. There's many combinations of that. And now we have the insulating layer in between, which can be filled with other materials, and this other cup in the middle, which again could have another core in the center of, perhaps, for example, the straw could be in the very center of the whole apparatus, and it could have a nano-coated wire in the center of the straw even. And then you could imagine it as the straw is almost in a reactor, you have rods. So the straw becomes a rod that you can pull out and push in to draw different strengths of your material that you're either drawing from or putting into on the inside. So I found all these multi-purposes for this relatively inexpensive apparatus, and kind of excited to put it to use in some ways, and use it as a detector circuit is what I'm primarily interested in. I want to find a way to measure maggrav fields of different rotating things and of apples and whatever. I want to be able to measure, and this is one of my quests to find those kind of measuring instruments. This other box that I showed earlier, the aluminum box, is another story. It's supposed to be a gravity detector, and it won't detect any radio frequency, but it will detect changes in gravity, like from nearby rotating devices and so on. So I hope to work on that. I've made it into a unit, and I've started to test it, and it's interesting, and looking forward to doing more experiments with that. So that's pretty much my little rap here about that. What do you think, Mr. Keshe? Any hope on those ideas? Did I put you to sleep? Hello?
He's speechless.
Sometimes I talk too long.
I think you got an extraordinary positive reaction from live stream anyway. Everybody seems to agree.
I guess Mr. Keshe must be speechless at this point. It must have been pressing him so much. Hello, are you still there? I think your microphone might be off. Okay, well, we can't hear you, Mr. Keshe, so I'm not sure if you can hear me right now.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I muted everything, and I forgot to unmute myself, so I shut myself up. No, it's beautiful what you've done. I explained to you why, and step by step we go through it. But while you were talking, I saw something on the live chat, somebody giving a link to donate to Keshe Foundation on a special link. I've never seen this one. It says Omega Quantum Maghreb Canada and others. Can somebody explain to us how this has come about? It's the first time we see it.
Well, if it's Omega Quantum in Maghreb Canada...
No, it says, it uses our logo, it says Keshe Links. And then it goes down, what do you call it? It goes down a list of things. I've just tested this. Mr.
Keshe.
That's
Mr. Keshe. That's
yes.
a links page that Wolf has made up so that people can follow along things very easily.
Okay, no problem. That's why I just wanted to see what it is. Okay, I'm going to answer you in a very, very easy way. What you've shown us is fantastic. It is very beautiful. It's it has huge application and implication. We discussed these double layer systems in the Spanish workshop in the past couple of weeks, how to use them for growing vegetables or plant pots. I purchased one just the last day we were in the Sensano a couple of days ago as a flower pot to fill it in for to see if it changes the life of the plant if you put it in there with water. The 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 application for this I even discussed with Sohail a couple of weeks ago, that they have to produce two double layer system to put the Gans in, to literally put an end to the people who oppose the thing that the Gans is dangerous and blah blah. Now you receive the fields of the Gans. So you can add different materials to it and use it different ways. These are, in the long run, become a kind of exactly what you talked about as measurement tools. Because once we fill in these containers, we are in the environment of the pure given plasma condition of the matter. Now this is CO2, the other one can be copper oxide. Then with this we can measure exact field of the environment of a given Gans. And it's a beautiful thing what you've done. The process of putting a cup inside and the straw, we have used the system nearly 10 years ago. One of the ways we use this process is that children don't like to suck on a straw for air, or they don't like to drink water. What we do, we put straws like this, a straw attached to the cup, or in a football or whatever, for them that to them is a play. So it's not a what do you call it, meaning of absorbing energy. It has a huge application, and this is the part that now you brought it forward, and it has to be developed fully, and it's something it has enormous applications. Enormous applications.
You know, it's funny. I when I found the cup fit just exactly in press fit into the other glass, to the other mason jar, I thought that was pretty amazing. And then I thought, I wonder if that straw is going to fit the other one. And sure enough, the straw is an exact press fit onto the other straw, and it can be extended out to like a foot away from the main reactor to blow into it or suck out from it or extend it for some reason. I couldn't believe it. In fact, I could easily add another cup on the other end of this long straw thing here, and now I've got two cups that are connected by one common plasma tube, you might say, or Gans tube, and that could be interesting to play with. So, boy, there's a lot of combinations. There's hundreds of experiments I've created for myself, if I can only do them now.
The beauty of a simple system like this is that in a simple way, you create a condition which is homogeneous and constant. And the use of these cups and straws, if you have used the health systems of the Keshe Foundation, they're always come in with a part of the package. One of the things which is highly it's not a warning, but it's I explain to you that you have to understand the totality. When you create fluids like this and you try to consume it in any shape or form, unless it's designed and developed in a specific way to do what it's supposed to do, Because of its plasmatic magnetic gravitational field strength, you can create huge positive results and the huge negative results, where through its dynamism and what you add, you can touch the emotion of the man. And this is very important to understand. It's not a warning, it's something that it has to be checked and processed and then to be added to. Anything you work like this and you think it's nice to drink the cup, from the cup, understand the implication and application of it. Yesterday, I was talking to Marco. This is, let me go back to something to explain. A lot of people have been asking us for, can we, okay, we absorb the CO2, what are we going to do? This is one of the implication of it for plant pots and the vegetables you want to grow. It receives the energy without a touch with the CO2 or Gans of anything. We discussed this in the Spanish teaching. But you have to make sure that there is no physical contact with the Gans. You created the Gans inside the jar, or you added to it, or you can put a nano-coated material in, and then you seal it, and then the material is created inside the jar and it's got no contact, physical contact. But you produce a Gans. And then you have to allow the air in and to produce the rest of what you want to produce, or is a pure material. There is huge applications, and Sohail, I know, is working on it. We most probably see the prototypes when he arrives. We were talking with Marco yesterday. Somebody with a bladder cancer wants to use the Gans materials to see if he can help them with the cancer. This is their own idea, so they're volunteering their own body to test themselves. Please understand the process before you do anything. And it might work with your case, but not necessarily works with all the cases, because every bladder is made of different things. We don't mind receiving knowledge from you, but we are very much on the cautious side. We advise you not to do these kind of things. This is well known. But again, this knowledge is getting developed by man for the man. So if you gain knowledge in any shape or form, you can share it with us. We listen to it because it's your personal experiment. We know a version of this has been tested here in Italy in the past 4 weeks for a problem with the prostate, and it has totally eradicated it. At least past 4 weeks does not see any sign of it, but it was done in a specific way, in a specific manner. It's been tested with sinus infection. You have to allow us to do. We are not sitting around just watching things. We are developing technologies for it. Part of the addition to development is the first part, which has got nothing to do with the foundation, but it's basic tools, is being accepted by naval military to be applied as mass testing. This will be announced by the people who are in that field, and in time they'll come and explain. So the technology has gone into safety, health for military application. It's been approved by the authorities to be tested, and the military has accepted it to do it in mass. So we are developing, we are breaking through. But allow us to do it, that data is confirmed. Data is there to confirm, and we can support the totality. Part of this development has been tested by leading institutes, hospitals in the Western world, approved, and due to its approval has been accepted and is getting tested as we speak by the military. because as part of the process we explain how we can do it, because it's part of the development we need in a space when we don't have a doctors. It's highly advanced. It's very. We start the process in the next a few weeks to go in the next phase of the development. We have geniuses around the foundation who are developing and bringing everything inside. We do not touch. This is done ethically under the license by the government authorization, tested in the governmental hospitals, evaluated and recommended to be correct, and the military has accepted for the first trial. They have asked for it. Reason: you get boat of refugees. You do not know what the position is, what disease they carry, how much you can help them. You cannot send for a blood test back and forth. They come within the environment of the Gans, immediately disease recognized, diagnosed, solution given. You know if the guy on the boat is a hepatitis or carries AIDS. It's a huge breakthrough. Instant recognition of disease, and now it's been approved and is getting tested. And then we are adding to it into a direction of the dimension of the cancer state. And then we can immediately give the same handle back. You have hepatitis, you can get the energy in the plasmatic condition to overcome. It is a huge breakthrough. We most probably you see the demonstrations of it when you're here for opening of the foundation. This is coming through collaboration with scientists around the world. We have broken in through heavy way in different aspects. And there was a need for an institute to allow us to bring these things out. As I always said, in the space we cannot take all the doctors and all medicine for us. Now the first phase of testing by scientific doctors, military doctors and governmental health authorities are watching this process very carefully. Because military needs this. You get people across the border, a police officer does not know if the guy is hepatitis, he's got AIDS or whatever disease it is. Holding its tool, which is Gans field with a specific condition created, immediately recognizes the gravitational magnetic field detection energy, diagnosed, the officer knows his life is safe. And as we say, it'll be announced in due course by the government health authorities, not by the foundation, or not by the institute. These are very, very important developments. We have all the facilities given to us to run tests on the medical aspects with the full control of knowledge of the government health authorities and watched by ministers very closely, because it can change a lot of things. You will see the first working apparatus of this, and the opening is one of the gifts from the foundation and people who collaborate with us to humanity. Any other question?
Well, we are up to over 3 hours and almost 15 minutes on this workshop. How do you feel? We could probably go on with questions all night, and as far as I can.
Yeah, we can ask, because this is how it's going to be.
Okay.
If
we
have
can go
time,
on a bit more. What do we have up there, Guy?
Actually, let me tell you why we announced this even today. By acceptance of this technology this way and applications of it, any attempt to say that we are involved in what do you call it, health system, now we brought it into the governmental operation. And systems after systems will be submitted for assessment and development for different diseases. So we can create a tuning system for different diseases.
There was one comment, we can have a Gans first aid kit.
Why not?
That would make sense. else we have here?
Can I say something to go back in what we started originally with, is that if you are, we know there's a large number of scientists listening to different universities to the program. If you want to bring the teaching of the Keshe Foundation into university, please contact us and we put you on the live stream teachings as we develop. So your students can be taught in the classrooms directly while the teaching is going on. I know a lot of professors and scientists and doctors would like to do the teaching. This gives you that chance to bring the new science smoothly into the structure of the university.
Yeah, we're looking forward to some exciting new ways to teach through the internet, I think. And hopefully we'll get you up against that whiteboard making some nifty diagrams. That would be nice.
It was
to see.
easy. It's getting easier. We have more facilities to do things. But on the other hand, we have to see the limits and how we can push the limits and how we can go ahead with it. There is something which is, I spoke about this just touching it, and that is in the coming weeks, the Keshe Foundation will release all the books. We start developing to release all the books on an e-book version. And the decision is that we will not put a price on it, we put a donation on it. As we know, most of the people will choose the minimum donation, but you can have the, e-version, or you can have the hard copy if you want to receive the hard copy. This will be released in coming time. We need a group that they can monitor all the books which are translated in different languages, that they can download it and it can be done safely. So we'll see what comes up and how we develop in the coming weeks, that we can have these up and running by September. The people looking for an ebook and legally downloading, now you get a chance to legally do your job and receive the true essence of it.
Okay, in other announcements, I'd like to say that people can keep an eye out for a little fundraising effort by myself and 2 other fellow Canadians, so we can make it to this opening of the Spaceship Institute. So we'll be doing a fundraising whirl here to get our flights and so on in order, and looking forward to making it. That'll be myself and Guy and Vince are included in that group, and hopefully others will also be attending. So just a little a blurb there for people to keep an eye out for the announcements as we present our fundraiser for that. There'll be
any other news?
Yeah, I don't know if we have much else. Vince, do you have anything else at your end you want to add?
Not at the moment. I think everything's been taken care of so far.
Okay.
As we said, the opening of the institute is an open door. Wherever you come from, you will meet with the new structure of the order, as we call it, and at the same time you can meet and start a new developments in your countries with the Keshe Foundation in different ways as you see fit. We know a number of people from different countries are coming in to be here. Opening is your home, is your education center, and what you learn from here you can take back. So you're welcome to attend any of the meetings, and we will see what we can do. There are hotels available around the university nearby, and please inform through the Keshe Foundation, the link that you are coming and how many people are coming, that we get an idea of how the process is developing and how many people we have to what do you call it, to be able to accommodate, because the accommodations in our main hall are limited. And thank you very much for all your support.
Okay, I think that wraps up the workshop for today. It seems complete at this point. I want to thank you very much, Mr. Keshe, for answering so many questions today. It was great.
I just seen something. I want to answer this guy. I think it's good. Is Milan Doliner? He says, why can't we produce some diamond and solve all the money problems? When we produced the diamonds and we took it to the diamond bourse in Antwerp, and they brought their system and they tested it, they asked me to give the diamond bourse people undertaking that I will never show how to create diamond, because diamond will have no value. We could have done this a long time ago. As some of you might know, part of my hobby was large size diamonds. And I have a very good connection in different part of the diamond structure of the wall, in the wall structure, from the mining to the setting. And so when I created the diamond, coated zirconium, 5 carat zirconium size, I took it to the diamond bourse and I said, I've made a new diamond, I want you to test it. They put different machines, 3 different electronic machines on it, and it says D flawless. And I said, the only thing you cannot do is to weigh the stone. Because you can nano-coat zirconium, that it shows and behaves like diamond. If you test it, if you put the diamond tester on it, it says it's diamond, pure diamond. The only time it gives this trick away is when you weigh it. The weight of zirconium is different than the diamond. And I gave undertaking we'll never release this technology that way. But now that all you know how you can diamond coat or nano layer coat zirconium or gold, you can all show, look, I have a zirconium, but don't tell anybody. You can put a diamond tester and it shows it's a diamond, because the diamond structure is very much to the nano layer structure in absorbing and releasing energy. That's how you override the diamond tester. It's the field flow, joule field flow, which gives the high voltage, because of you cannot touch it. That's why the diamond structure is. So it behaves and shows as a diamond tester as a diamond. And the flawless, because you cannot even penetrate through the center of the stone to see the structure. It gives you a balanced, clean structure. So we could have sold kilos of diamonds to diamond bourse years ago. I used to be in large stone for pleasure of it, but it was very interesting. Nobody understood why I was involved in it, because through the structure of diamond, I was testing to understand the structure of the physicality of amino acid conductivity and the rest. And this was a part of the process. So I could have sold a lot of zirconium as pure diamond. Nobody would have ever known, but this is not the game. I think I have shown this to some of the knowledge seekers. One day we'll show you this zirconium, which is what they called gold, what they call it, diamond structure layers on it. Now that you can nano coat the plastics, you understand fully how it behaves. Thank you very much for your time today.
There is one more question, Mr. Keshe.
Yeah. Yes.
It is from Ludmil, and it is, what are the effects of the pain pad on the brain?
Don't use it if you have any brain. I think I answered you.
So would it literally not be so good for a headache, Mr. Keshe?
Would you bring you new headaches?
Well, we can let Lemuel test it out for us, perhaps.
Depends on the level of alcohol in the brain sometimes. Depends. But please do not do these kind of tests.
Okay.
Let us develop the technology the way it's coming through. We are doing it collectively as a race around the world together, from the music to submarine units to the vegetables to whatever we are doing, and we're showing openly. This openness, what we've seen today from different people and the way we teach, is shocking the scientific world, because they realize knowledge is a gift that can be shared with humanity at zero cost. And it's not a privilege, but it's an advantage to serve. And it's not for them to make money out of it, but in a way it's there to help us to go one step further, helping each other. We see what comes up and how we can go, but don't use the blood milk for your brain, please. Because I can tell you what it does, but you will not like it.
So much for the pain pad hat, eh? Another great idea down the drain.
It's as bad as
nice try, Lemuel.
a Scotch. It's as bad as dumping a, what do you call it, high-priced Scotch whiskey, huh? Let's see what happens.
Go back to the pain pad shoes. No, that's the other end of the body is fine, apparently. Maybe that wouldn't be so good either. Okay.
The pain pad shoes has been tried for a long time. They have if you can construct it with a specific structure, you can contain a lot of and change a lot of diseases even without touching the organs inside the body.
Yes.
I have shown these shoes to Dr. Elia. These shoes I developed over years, and you can literally use it in a specific way. Some of the volunteers have used it around the world. They weigh about 3-4 kilograms. They're not light, but you can use it in a way to dictate the position and the working of the organs inside in the body of the man to change conditions. Thank you very much for today.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe.
What we can do next time. See you on Tuesday, hopefully.
Yes, if all goes well.
All goes well. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Keshe.
And thanks to everybody on the Skype call and the technical people and on the live stream and everywhere in the universe who might be listening within the sound of my voice, which might be anywhere in the universe. Think about it, eh? Okay, and that wraps up the 55th Keshe Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Thank you, everyone, for attending.